예, G 타이거즈 같은 경우에 굉장히 밸런스 잡힌 픽을 뽑았어요. 뭐 김동준 해설도 계속 언급하자면 뱀픽이 날카롭습니다. 그냥 딱딱딱 다 되면서 뭐 뚜렷한 약점이 보이지 않습니다. 뭐 위험 요소가 있는 것들도 본인이 다 가져오고 제거를 해놨고요. 진에어 같은 경우에 확실한 건 색깔이 있어요. 엄청나게 폭발력이 강력합니다. 이 폭발력이 터졌을 때는 정말 위협적이겠으나 한 번만 막히면 할 게 없는, 무력하게 무너질 수도 있는 어떤 그런 약점을 갖고 있다고 볼 수 있겠네요.
그렇습니다. 미드 싸움이 미드만의 싸움이 아니라 이제 바텀도 영향을 받는다.
네. 자, 골라.
여기서
시비가 죽었네요.
없어요.
죽었어요.
난리가
났네요. 저기 리시까지 오죠.
서로 순간이
그맨까지 잡아주고 2킬 지네요.
그 사이에
이거는 좀 갱만 잘 도망가죠.
갱만 굉장히 침착하게
네.
스킬 썼고요.
네, 벽 잘 넘었어요.
치유까지도 들고 있던 상황에서
그러니까 안 죽을 걸로 생각했나요? 뭐 점화 막튀를 계산을 착각했나요? 그리고 회복을 그냥 안 썼는데요.
굉장히 안 좋은 플레이가 나왔네요.
이거는 명백히 실수가
네.
맞는 것 같고요.
네.
순간이동까지 왔지만 결국 손해를 봤습니다.
좀 아니라고 생각한 건데 아무튼 절체절명이었는데 그걸 죽었습니다. 자, 전면에 있습니다. 나르.
주문포 식자를 들고 있어서 사실 쉽게 죽을 것 같지는 않은데요.
달려드나요?
라이브로
자, 궁 있죠, 궁 있죠. 수면 궁 있어요. 네, 물고.
순간 데미지로
한번 붙잡. 여기서 갑니까?
오, 전멸까지 바깥으로 잘 빠져나갔어요.
네.
데미지 계산 완벽했네. 못 갔죠?
네.
예.
그러면 프로를
아니
한번 막자.
아니 원래 방금 말씀드리려고 했던 게 그게 왜 안 되냐면 계속 미드를 보는데 미드에서 안 죽고 잘 버티고 넷장 잘해주고 있다 그 말씀 드리려는 순간 미드에서 죽었네요.
네.
그렇네요.
운영 좋아요, 지네요.
좋네요.
네. 시에리 스프링 정말 벼르고 벼른 만큼 한성준 감독 이제 평가 낼 때가 됐습니다. 네, 용 스택 1대0.
고민하다가
네. 자, 용 나왔습니다.
일단
여러분들 골라 쳤어. 자, 이러면
사고가 났습니다. 일단
네.
이게 퇴각이죠. 퇴각이죠.
프레이.
뒤에
네. 자, 전면 쓰고.
순간이동 넘어오네요.
네, 뒤쪽에 스맵 앞서 뒤쪽 스맵
그리고
앞서.
나가 지금 제라스 때리고 있거든요. 파일럿 죽었고요.
자, 이 싸움
아리.
제이서 위험하죠, 제이서.
이거 엄청나게 난전입니다 지금.
죽었고요.
네.
하지만
서로 실패. 리 위험합니다, 리.
잡았어요. 예.
네, 6대3으로 벌려, 6대3으로 벌렸어, 용까지.
일단 고릴라가 끊기고 시작했었기 때문에 기본적인 숫자 차이가 났었고요.
네.
진에어의 핵심 아리와 나르가 왼쪽에서 이제 제라스를 정리하느라고 좀 늦게 합류하느라 이쪽에서 살짝 반격이 있었는데 결국에는 다 정리가 됐습니다.
그렇습니다. 6대3의 용택 이제 두 번째 2대0입니다.
아이스크림 녹듯이 다 녹습니다.
자, 우리 용 먹는다, 우리 용 먹는다.
예,
용
탐수.
먹는다. 안 말릴 거냐, 니네. 용.
못했고요.
도망가, 리. 살아가는 게 중요합니다. 이제 살아가는 게.
대결하고요. 그러면서 포킹하겠다.
네.
가둬두고 아이스크림 녹듯이 녹았어요.
네.
일단.
이거 트레이스 한번 잡아주겠다고 3명.
그러니까 이거를 잡고 탑까지 밀면 분명 성과예요.
네. 나가는 나르. 네, 잡았습니다. 한번 끊어졌죠.
한 대를 맞기 전에 물론 진에어도 그냥 승천의 부적 쓰면서 이미지 열어버리고.
네.
그렇죠.
그 한 번만이 이런 거죠. 네, 이게 한 번만이 저는 드래곤 타이밍으로 잡히지 않을까 싶었었는데 한번 방어력 아이템을 저항력 아이템을 갖기 때문에 부담돼요.
네, 자, 용 나왔고요.
제라스 포킹 좋아요.
네, 애니 쪽으로 몇 방 맞췄고.
4스택 아리가 옆구리에
네.
파고들
아리
생각.
대결.
애니가
자,
위험하죠. 스맵이 좋냐?
그러면서
약간
체이가
이겁니다.
각을 잡고 있어요. 애니도.
병 다쳤나요?
근데 HP가 너무 없어요.
네.
이거는 싸울 각이 안 나오죠.
그렇습니다. 나를 이러면 작전 성공이죠.
미신이 뭐 앞전면까지 막 썼는데
네.
어쨌든 뺏겼고요. 그리고 이쪽도 리산드라가 지금 아이템이 잘 나와서
네.
리산드라가 먼저 파고 들어가도 애니 같은 챔피언은 바로 죽습니다.
네.
그러니까 그런 거 노림수가 있는 거고요.
일단 아리 조냐 기가 막혔고요. 자 그리고 11위가 킥을 맞았어요. 와 체이속 기가 막혔네요.
서로 노림수가 다들 매서웠는데 진에어 쪽이 말씀하신 대로 더 날카로웠습니다.
그렇습니다. 자, 용 먹고 바로 30초 시간이 있거든요.
4스택.
네, 4스택 빨리빨리 깨야죠. 네,
그리고
그러니까 병력 나눴어요.
이게
너는
단순히
용 먹고.
4스택뿐만
네,
아니라
나머지는 타워. 지금 아끼고 수성이 워낙 좋아요. 인심하네 너는. 네.
둘 다 키지 않았고.
네, 어떻게 잘려갑니까?
제이서.
너무 많았고요.
네.
자, 아리가
이쪽에서 아리
아리가.
암살.
네. 갱마 그리고 빠져나가면 되죠. 갱마.
예.
오!
올라 땡겨.
시민이가
네.
쓸어담습니다, 이러면.
그래서 이러면은
역으로.
진에어도 일단
자, 세 명.
빠져야 되는 상황이고요.
네. 자, 4명 생존.
와, 진짜
지-
손에 땀을 지는 순간이에요,
네.
정말.
자, 이게 어떤 결과까지?
뭐 그나마 진에어 입장에서 다행인 건 한타리 패배했지만 이게
여기서 계속 때리면 고릴라는
순간이
자,
되니까
세면 집어보여줘. 역으로 고릴라가. 이거 역설계.
올해 또 변신할 때 가장 약하지 않습니까?
네.
그 사이에 딱 죽었습니다.
야, 이 고릴라가 제대로 미끼가 돼줬습니다. 본인도 살고.
빵 최대한 개치고도 오래 하면서
그렇죠.
포킹 한 대라도 더 맞춰야 된다는
네.
생각해야
한
됩니다.
명은 전장 이탈시켜야 됩니다. 어느 팀이든 마찬가지예요.
제이 잡았고요.
추가 싸움 어떻게 되나요? 아래쪽.
네.
네가 물렸는데
프레이가 아직 있어요.
스맵이 죽었고요.
아, 프레이만 혼자는
프레이가
안
혼자서
되죠.
다 잡기에는
네,
강해지게 느껴지죠.
네, 5대1 불끈합니다 진짜.
제라스
자, 네.
있긴 있는데
자,
그냥
폭딜. 자, 체인은 옆에서 또 보고 있습니다. 애니가. 자, 쿠로가. 아,
썼어요.
네. 자, 애니 대기.
그때 내가 나를
네.
기가 막히긴 하네요.
네.
순위 정도만 한번
네, 여차하면
예.
자, 성문으로 가면 됩니다. 지인은 무리할 필요 없어요.
자,
지인은 일단 위장
그럼
띄우고.
지금은
도킹.
승천 정면 영광.
애니가 간다. 네, 도망가. 사냥개 때 도망가. 네.
상대도 잘 도망갔다.
네. 자, 한 명 빠져 있어요.
애니 장전돼 있습니다.
네.
어쨌든 벤시의 장막도 어제 또 굉장히 뜨거운 그 에리
터졌어요.
벤시 때문에
바로
포킹도
고고.
제대로 못했고
바로 고고.
애니 이니시에이팅 기가
네,
막히게
애니가 진짜
득달같이
네.
한번 왼쪽을 한번 살짝 쳐다봤고
네.
페이크를 넣으면서 다시 득달같이 치고
자,
들어가.
정면 안 칩니까?
이쪽에서 진 못 가게 막으면서
네, 아니,
제이가
제이가
들어가거든요. 그래 이거는 아니 이거는 판단이 좀 잘못됐나요?
네,
예.
이거 왜 죽었고요?
근데
이걸
11위가
왜?
죽었어요 11위가 죽었어요 이거는
보안 어느 정도
네.
네.
자, 쿠로 잡고.
수가
네. 여기서
이래
네.
하네요
여기서 구라주고 지금 끝나는 거 아닙니까? 네. 넥서스 깨지면서 GG. 자, 지네요. 2연승에서 3연승을 노리고 있던 지의 꿈을 이제 바로 2대0으로 박살낼 것인지 아니면 지 1경기에 패배 서력하고 3경기 가면서 3연승 가고 단독 선두 오를 수 있을 것인지 네, 양팀 선수들 네, 로딩창 넘어가고 있습니다.
자 들어갑니다
자, 리신 남이 위치는 알거든요. 하지만 수면 쪽으로 먼저 들어가죠.
이거는 전면
튕겼고.
빠지면 그때 대격변
네.
하겠다는 얘기죠.
네, 전면
되게
선전 다이브.
다이브 자
여기 예상으로 꽂을 수도 있고요. 오른쪽. 이러면
죽었어.
얌전하게 죽었습니다
네. 여기다 고릴라. 와, 오른쪽
밀어냈고요.
뿅.
예.
막타는 자르바네.
예 오히려
막타는 갱맘이. 예. 여기서 쿠로가.
프로 은신
보채. 뿅.
안 죽었어요
네. 자, 옆구리치기.
이거는 체이가
자, 스몰도 안에.
너무 많이 맞아야 되는데.
네.
죽었어요 그리고 왔어요
3대 하나 더 잡아갈 수 있습니까? 지
일단 물과목 안 맞은 게 첫 번째.
네.
이게 오는 거 아나요? 한번 타워 있죠? 타워 있어요.
네,
타워.
일단.
네, 먼저. 네. 그렇죠. 프레이가
남긴 느낌도. 네.
자, 누가 누굴 낚는지 한번 볼까요?
근데 진짜 세요.
처음입니다.
대격변 선수가
네.
정말 잘 썼고요.
자, 탱커가 죽었어요.
네.
탱커가 죽었어요.
진짜 낚은 건가? 이런 생각
네.
드는.
자, 이제 갱맘이 대고
야.
옵니다. 하지만 이 정도면 피할 수 있죠? 자, 뿅! 네. 아, 뿅 아니고 이거요. 네. 뿅! 이제 뿅!
순간이동.
네, 순간이동 지금은
마오카이가?
지금은 트레이스가 있죠.
이걸 잡겠다.
골리앗 연결해서 잡아야죠.
이거는
도망가립니다.
살아가기가 꽤 힘들긴.
네.
코그모
네, 안돼 르블랑 쏘고 패고
어디까지 가죠?
네. 잔나가 죽었어요.
자.
남이는 살았고.
은신.
자, 또 진짜
뭐야?
그 사이에
가짜.
예, 맞아.
가짜.
이쪽,
네.
이쪽, 예.
하나 잘못 잡았어.
막 보고.
네,
오다가
이거.
지금
가라. 타워도 여기다 키를 누가? 키를 파일럿이. 아, 네, 파일럿이 먹고요. 저 골리앗
이거
먼저
안 돼,
맞고요.
안 돼.
보일러.
이거
깽판이. 오히려 올로 분위기가 있네요. 그런데 체력 다 빠지면
하지만 이쪽에서 예.
코그모도 있고요. 자, 고르키가
네.
좀 멀었어요. 고르키가 좀 멀었어요. 탈진. 얼마나 탈진? 자, 잡았고요.
파일럿
코그모
도착했어요, 일단.
코그모.
막타를 못 넣고 있어요. 막타를 넣어야죠, 막타를.
자, 잡았어요. 그리고
네.
룰루까지. 룰루가 아니고 제라스.
네, 이게.
코르키 죽으면 난리 납니다. 코르키 죽으면 난리 나요.
네.
코르키
자,
죽으면 난리 나요.
르블랑.
표식.
네, 르블랑 한 방. 꽝.
우리
네.
반격.
네.
잡았고
아주
이것도.
7대7 킬됐어. 잘 쫓아왔습니다.
나도 다 없고 엄청
네.
열심히 싸웠어요. 다.
자, 멀리서 한번 툭툭 때리면서 공성도 좋죠. 네. 갱맘이 덕분이.
그러면서
자, 일단 잠시대기. 헤이 끝잖아.
다 왔는데.
잡히질 않고
파일럿
마오카이가
가운데 떨어졌습니다. 일단.
네. 자, 공으로 버티면
그리고 코그모
그리고
프리딜.
지금
미신이 걷어차고요.
근데 잔나가
끌어내고요.
제라스 포킹 들어갑니다.
네.
뒤쪽에.
자, 타워 쪽으로 빠져야죠. 방어막 2차.
뿅각이 나올 것 같아요.
네.
뿅각 나오나요?
어디로? 뿅. 그리고 달려들어요. 네.
그리고 체이서도 4.
코그모.
네. 트리플 K. 타워까지.
자, 툭툭 치기 누가 더 강력하냐?
보고 보이는 거죠.
마오카이 안 됐어요.
기가 깔려 있어요. 지금.
그리고
한 방. 닿았어요. 하지만 체력이.
와, 갱맘이 르블랑
네.
마크를 기가 막히게 하네요. 그러니까 플레이는 안 되겠다. 앞장서는 플레이.
네.
이런 거 너무 빨리 잡혔고요. 네. 너무 빨리.
자, 충전.
제라스가 뒤쪽에서 지원 사격 해주고
네.
있고요.
제라스가 뒤쪽에서 차르만 안 죽었어요. 그리고 원딜이 살았습니다.
여기서 때리고 있어요. 제라스.
자, 그런데 이거
네.
르블랑이 원딜 노릴 것 같은데요. 안 노리네요.
체력 관리가 너무 안 되는 상황이고요.
죽었습니다.
맞으면서 뿅뿅뿅에 그냥 죽어버리면 별 다른
네.
건데.
자, 끊어먹고. 호구가 물렸는데.
자, 네. 이쪽으로 오히려 잘 뺐죠.
마오카이만 일반적으로
끝났어요. 끝났고
추가적으로
네.
아니 부킹이 강력한데요.
또다시.
부킹이 강력해요 일단.
자, 갱맘이.
사이드 왼쪽이에요.
호구만 잡아주세요. 호구만 좋다.
자, 그리고
나무 전투기.
제라스를 잡을 수 있나요? 제라스를 잡았어요.
제라스 좋다. 테이블 좋다. 오른길 좋다. 에이스. 네, 에이스 트리플 K. 깁니다 확실히.
코르키 체력이 없기 때문에 한타를 하기에는
네, 한번
그냥
잡았죠.
아이고, 뭐고 지금은 좀 안 되죠.
네, 파일럿의 체력이 얼마 안 되는데. 나만.
이거는 마오카이 입장에서
시대인가요?
뒤로 빠져도 어차피
네.
얻어맞다 죽으니까 그냥 어쩔 수 없이 파고든 느낌이 있어요.
네.
그렇죠. 하나요? 데미지?
네. 딜둥지.
그냥 싸웁니다. 뒤돌아서 싸웁니다.
네. 제이가 못 버티고 딜러들이 못 왔어요. 뿅. 네, 살았어. 살면 되죠.
그리고 코그모가 프리딜 막
네.
때려내고 있어요.
근데 이게
근데 이거
제이가
진짜 예, 르블랑도
마오카이가
뒤에서 번지하고요.
네.
르블랑
가야 될 것
이거
같아요.
머릿수가 비교가 안 될 텐데 잡죠. 백맘을 잡어요. 백맘 보호해줄 사람입니다. 이거 에이스 나오겠는데요.
좀 막 싸운 느낌이 있었네요. 어쩔 수 없다라고 생각을 했습니다.
엑서스 때리면서 지지가 될 것 같습니다. 네, 지지.
G 타이거즈는 어느 정도 상대 이런 조합을 예상해서 물려도 큰 타격이 없을 만한 픽들로 잘 구성을 해놨고요. 벽들도 앞쪽에 참 견고하게 구성되어 있고 또 모르가나라는 핵심 픽을
그렇죠.
뺏어와서 이것도 참 좋은 점으로 작용할 것 같네요.
모르가나가 상대가 우르르 들어왔을 때 또 이제 그 받아치는 능력이 정말 발군이기 때문에 픽의 의미를 거기서 찾을 수 있을 것 같고요. 그래도 뭐 지네어가 갖는 강점도 굉장히 많습니다.
그럼요.
뭐 르블랑 들어갔을 때 뭐 룰루가 순간적으로 이제 변덕쟁이를 활용한다든지 그런 뭐 전술적인 변수는 많이 산재해 있네요.
그러면 내게 달려줘야죠.
코리가 잡았고요.
자, 이러면 이거 싸움을 한번. 싸움을 한번. 일단 한번. 네. 뭐 하나 던져서.
이번엔 지네어가 많습니다. 이번엔 지네어가 많아요.
오일라 졌다. 오일라 졌다.
페이스 잡았고요.
네, 스맵도 살아갈 수 있나요? 자, 집어 들어와요.
이득 보려고 했었는데 이득을 많이 못 본 것 같거든요.
저는
네, 졌고. 자르마까지
B가
왔어요.
전면까지 썼지만
네,
모르가나!
야,
근데 저마틱이 아직
다 왔어요.
죽었어요. 예, 저마틱이.
네. 자, 제이스 주고 전체까지는 보일러만 안
근데
보일러 던져. 하나 더 자르만.
그리고
프레이가
나왔어요.
주면 안 되죠.
네, 마오카이 왔고요.
네, 난타죠.
케이소까지 죽습니다.
D는 못 잡고. 실패.
더블 버프.
네. 용 지금
또 죽였습니다.
네, 이대요. 자, 갑니다. 계셨죠? 랭가
달립니다.
랭가.
그런데
자, 랭가가 빨리 들어간 거 빨리 녹았죠?
그리고 대격변이 어쨌든
네, 갱맘
잘
전사.
가졌고
네, 여기서 대략
터져요.
나오겠는데요.
터지겠는데요.
네, 아래쪽에 룰루라도 도망갈 수 있나요?
데미지가
다이브
너무 큽니다.
가능하죠?
데미지가
더블킬. 오히려 노리면 진짜 뭐 지가
와, 난리네.
네.
특성자까지 써서 겨우
네.
살렸습니다.
그렇죠. 용 잡집처럼
반격,
반격. 그렇죠. 페이.
너클의 길이가 나오면서 살짝
네.
위험했는데
네, 힐로 살았고요.
마오카이.
힐로 공모. 네, 체이서 앞에서 체이서. 이가 또 잡았어요. 그리고 체이서.
스맵이 지금 탱킹을 얼마나 해주고 있는 건가요? 자,
이건 아니다.
오, 물면
정면
안 되죠.
안녕광.
자, 이거 뒤틀리. 네.
터지고요.
오히려 제이 괜히 땡겼죠.
마오카이 잡고 받았습니다.
네.
이거
자,
한번
개씩.
해보자.
네, 그 마오카이 르블랑
어떻게든 해보자.
없을 때. 르블랑 없을
아니,
때.
마오카이를 물고
예,
마오카이를 무는 거 후회 안 할까요?
네.
후회하고 있습니다.
프레이가 다 쓸어당겨도 막 르블랑 왔어요. 에이스 뜨겠는데요. 용 4스텝.
아유 정말
정말 에이스.
마오카이는 지금 답이 없습니다.
네.
이거는 뭐
오, 정치 봐, 이 정치.
아니 이거 그냥
네.
열었죠 리 그리고
네. 파일럿.
이의 행보에 대해서 뭐
얘기 좀
역을
말- 예.
뭐 약간 역으로 도장 깨기 아니냐 이런 얘기.
야, 저는 한 자리예요.
이게 아까부터 자꾸 랜턴이 너 어쩔 수가 없어요.
아, 이거 정말 안타까운데 랜턴 한 자리. 높죠, 예. 라인 열렸어요. 이거 뭐 억제기 3개 깨나 마나.
아니 이거 제이스 11에 전면 없다. 그럼 네가 바로 대금방부터 잡고 쓰니까 답이 없죠.
네.
와,
스텝이 맞아주셨으니 맞아주죠.
이번에 진짜 정규 시즌 들어서 최고의 다크호스라는 건 계속 이어나가고 있습니다.
네.
지네어
오월킬.
전력 좋다는
네.
지네어를 상대로 또 승리하는 그림이거든요.
그렇죠. 넥서스 못 지키면 경기 마무리될 거더라 보이네요.
예.
오도다치 오월킬. 다음에 만날 때 겁좀 먹어라.
네.
Today's matchup. KT Roaster. CJ Entis. 2015 spending League of Legends Champions Korea Spring.
Hey guys, welcome to Champion Spring. I'm Doa, that's Monte Cristo, and today, CJ Entis versus KT Roaster. It's going to be interesting. That's the loudest I've heard the CJ fans cheer in a long time, and they actually, for once, they actually have a good reason to do it.
Yeah, it's been an impressive early season for CJ for sure, and an interesting match coming in tonight, definitely. We've got, as we can see, the fans in the audience, a lot of weird things happening in Korean League of Legends right now, not the least of which is CJ's dominating performance over Najin and SK Telecom so far.
Yeah.
And coming into tonight's match, both of these teams have only played Najin and SK Telecom. KT is 0-2. CJ is a very surprising 2-0.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, they had the 2 over SKT and then the 2-1 over Najin. I mean, CJ is winning not just, barely, they're winning convincingly over the top teams. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you've got KT Roaster, a team that looked fairly solid, like Scores transitioned into the jungle is looking good in the preseason, and now things are really falling flat.
Yeah, they really are for KT, and it's been quite fascinating actually because they can't quite play their team compositions out properly. And interestingly in this match as well, we have 2 players, Ambition and Score, swapping positions into the jungle this season. And at first it looked like Score was going to be the one who was really dominant. He had a great preseason showing.
He was at first.
Ambition really looked lackluster, and now it's kind of reversed. Ambition has developed very quickly, and now we have Score needing to pick it up a bit.
That's right. And so, taking a look at our standings so far in the tournament, the GE Tigers, after a pretty good preseason, are doing extremely well now in the regular season. 3-0 in the matches so far. I almost said in their group, but we don't do groups anymore here. And then CJ
it's all
Entis,
one group, Doa.
That's right. We're all one big happy group now. 2-0 for CJ Entis. SK Telecom still looking pretty good at 2-1, and no doubt they will continue to improve that record as well. Jin are kind of on the bubble right now. I feel like we're going to see them improve as well. But moving on, our match today, a best of 3 between KT Roaster, a combination of roller and coaster, versus CJ Entis, a combination of entertain and us.
Those Koreans sure know how to mash words together, don't they, Doa?
They do, man. I mean, that's just actually that's an interesting thing about the Korean language is because when you write it, it's done in like syllable blocks.
Correct.
The characters on syllable blocks. So they just like to take the first syllable for multiple words and just put them together, and that's a new word. So why not do it with esports team names as well?
That's right. So they're bringing that Korean flair into their names. It's a good thing to see.
That's right.
So yeah, this matchup, I mean, KT just going to be desperate to get a win so far. They are 0-4 on the season, and it's not necessarily that they played badly, especially in the early game. In fact, in Game 2 against both Najin and SK Telecom, they held a lead for a while. They just had a really, really difficult time closing out those games and playing compositions properly. So they look like they're almost there. Individually, they're not playing particularly badly, but it looks more like a bunch of great solo queue players without a lot of synergy.
That's a good way to describe it, I think, as well, too. And I think what we're seeing here is that what they're really missing from not having Kakao on the team anymore as far as the arrows go, not having Rookie around as well. I feel like especially Kakao brought a lot of stability to the KT arrows that the KT team in general right now is really lacking.
Yeah, I agree with you. And as we talk about big plays being made, remember to vote for the Azubu Super Play. So the player who makes the biggest play of the week, go over to ogn.azubu.tv to vote.
Yeah.
And you will give that player 400,000 won, which is about $400.
You don't have to give it to him yourself. Zubu's actually giving them the money.
They're kind enough to front
here.
that money.
That's right. But you are helping choose who they give it to.
That's right.
So there you go.
And at the end of the season, the biggest play of the season, the player who's voted with the biggest play will make about $10,000. It's a lot of money. You could vote every week. It's exciting times, and it's Wednesday, so I guess that means we're going to see who won our Azubu Super Play Award for this week.
Who is it? Never mind. Let's find out later. It's the Sonokong IB MVP ranking so far. Duke on top with 300 points. A top laner for Najini Empire. Really doing work in a lot of their games, and it shows here. And look at that. Space. Space is on that list. Space is a different space. This is not the same space as we're used to. This is new and improved space. This is Space 2.0.
Yeah, he's moving up the solo queue ladder every time I look.
I think they need to change his name to Hyperspace.
Hyperspace now, I agree.
Yeah.
That's a great name for him. And there's our KDA award.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to take a look at each of the lanes here. Smeb on top from the GE Tigers. What a season he has had so far, and a good preseason as well. But look at that in second place, though. Shy, after being relatively quiet over the last year and a half maybe, finally starting to make some real progress in terms of being that dominant top laner, the best top laner that he once was.
And in the jungle, Lee, of course, on top as well. GE Tigers not having lost, so their KDAs are a bit inflated at the moment.
I don't know if that's the best abbreviation for jungle I've ever seen, but it looks like jiggle, but whatever, it's close enough. But yeah, Lee, man, I mean, these GE Tigers, they're Smeb and the Najins, as we've called them, so good. And EasyHoon, look at that. On top with the KDA from SK Telecom. Faker, not even on that list, actually, but EasyHoon, his consistency is really showing here. He's able to perform well in the games he's in and just not die, and that's going to give you a good KDA.
And there's another couple surprises here are GBM and Frozen on that list, especially on teams that haven't kind of picked up a lot of wins so far.
Yeah, well, Prey, of course, another GE Tiger player on top for the AD carry spot. Space again in third, not bad with 5.3. And surprising enough, Zephyr actually up there for Najini Empire, above OQ right now.
Yeah, played fewer games though, so there's that caveat as well. Same thing with EasyHoon being on top, and Pikaboo also has played one game, so.
Yeah, but what a game it was. Look at that, 16 KDA, not too bad. Gorilla with a much more reasonable 6.7 at second, and that still puts him quite a bit ahead of Madlife. But Madlife is having a very resurgent season right now.
Yeah, he's a player that really hasn't been in the top 20 of solo queue in a while. I was looking him up today. He's at 17 right now. So a lot of these CJ players really coming in strong in terms of their solo queue performance as well.
Yeah.
They look revitalized. I'm not sure what happened to that team, but they seem very motivated. And here is our Azubu Super Play Award winner.
Hey, what do you know? It is Faker. He got it.
Again, second week in a row.
That's
He actually
right.
won it the first week for his LeBlanc pentakill, and
See.
now for this nuts Syndra play that
This is amazing.
many of you have no doubt seen already. And KT, before he made that play, was in the lead in this game, and Faker did some things that Faker does, and that's what happens. He can single-handedly turn some of these matches around, and this is a big reason why KT wasn't able to come out with a win right there. Faker and SKT able to take some nice objectives after he picked up that multi-kill.
KT probably not too happy to have that clip played, over and over again right before their match. But oh well, life is tough. Faker, yeah, what a great player, and I like this. I feel like this is smart by the fans. The Faker subsidy to keep Faker in Korea. I like it. I can get behind this, guys. Let's do our part to keep Faker in South Korea.
That's right. Keep letting Azubu give him money.
That sounds good. I mean, the guy keeps making these plays, though, so he deserves it. He certainly does.
Absolutely. I mean, the pentakill in the first week, he did it in the first day of Champions,
That contest
picking
didn't
up
last very long, did
that
it?
gear from Corsair, and now just continues to rake in those super plays.
Well, there you go. Let's take a look at our teams for today's matchup. Over on this side of the arena here in Seoul, South Korea, it is none other than KT Rolster. There they are.
And this is just a team struggling to find their identity right now. Yes, they can pick up early leads, and their team compositions are good, but in the end, they just don't seem to know how to play out these team compositions properly, who can engage, when they can engage, when their power spikes are. They just seem a little lost, and that just won't cut it here in Korea as pretty much the most competitive region in the world. You have to have better coordination and teamwork and forethought than KT has been demonstrating so far. And granted, KT has had a very difficult schedule. They've only played against SKT and Najin, arguably, I mean, outside of CJ, kind of the top two teams in the league.
Yeah, and you can bet when they were playing against those matches, they were like, well, at least we get to play CJ next week. And then now they're like, oh no, we have to play CJ this week.
That's right, CJ, the big surprise.
Yeah.
And GE as well, who had a shaky qualification, but who have been improving rapidly since then. KT Rolster has been stagnating, and they've got to figure out something to help them pick them out of this slump, because coming into the season, they looked like a lock for top 4, and now they're just tumbling down the rankings.
I would say so. Score even looks a little bit disappointed right there, you know? Looks a little bit, taken aback, I would say. Someone's like, you're only going to get to play Lee Sin for the rest of your life. He's like, oh, okay.
It's all right. As an AD carry, he's not used to much diversity anyway, so he'll be okay.
That is true, I guess, yeah.
And a lot of LeBlanc picks for Nagne coming into tonight. We do have a little bit of overlap in terms of champion pool. Of course, Coco has played Jason a couple of games so far, and LeBlanc once, and also absorbed a few LeBlanc bans himself, so we'll see if anybody manages to pick up that champion this evening.
And Nagne, out of everyone on KT, I feel like is struggling the most right now. But still a player we know has some talent in him. We'll see how he does. Arrow, though. Arrow and Hachani, they are champions summer winners, right? And I do like Arrow, but he had some strange picks week 1. Twitch, Kog'Maw didn't work out for him. Went to more standard picks the next week. Sivir, Corki, I think that was a good idea. It didn't work out, but I don't think that he really needs to deviate from that. I'd just like to see him again play more normal meta picks.
Yeah, and while Kog'Maw's been working out really well
He's
for
starting
Prey,
to be much more meta now.
Yeah, it's only with specific players, I feel like. And Arrow just didn't have that turn in a big Kog'Maw performance or have the team backup in order to pull something like that off.
Yeah. Now, Hachani, I think the problems that he had on the KT Arrows are starting to be a little bit more exacerbated by the situation on just the KT Rolster team right now. He's very aggressive. He has the ability to make really good plays, but he also has the ability to constantly face check pushes and get himself in really awkward situations too. And there's less coming from the other players on the team right now that mitigates that.
Yeah, I agree. And so we'll see if KT Rolster can pick up a very important win, their first win of the season in their 3rd match, but they've got a surprising contender standing in their way in CJ Entus.
That's right. There they are, CJ Entus, a team that really everybody, I think it's fair to say, had kind of given up on this season. Everyone was like, well, they're bad now. Mad Life shy. They're over the hill. Space has always been a problem. Space prison, LOL, right? Coco, can't get much done. Ambition, not very good in the jungle. Well, all of those things I just said apparently are totally untrue because CJ has been playing so well the first 2 weeks in the regular season after a disastrous preseason. Who are these guys and what do they do with the old CJ Entus?
It's really impressive to see how revitalized these veterans have become during this season so far, starting out with a huge performance with a 2-0 against SK Telecom, who we thought was going to be the strongest team in Korea coming into the season, and likely they still are for the moment, but we'll have to see how things shake out in the coming weeks. And Shy has been magnificent in the top lane, and I think the scariest part of what we're seeing with CJ Entus is that they're not a one-trick pony. We haven't seen them play one style of composition only. In fact, there's been incredible diversity. CJ has been playing things like Ori, Lulu, Sivir, Rengar, speed engage comps. So they've been playing with that team fighting composition. They've been playing pick. They've been playing double AD with Ezreal and Jace and executing fast pushes. So this is a team with a very deep strategic playbook right now and ambition. And they've also just had really solid game plans coming in. They really punished Faker in their 2nd game against SK Telecom. They seem to understand exactly what his ward timings would be so Ambition could make some plays with Jarvan. And it's been very impressive to see them work. Their team fighting has been strong, probably second only to GE Tigers.
Yeah, I mean, another thing that's really been amazing, too, is they're just straight-up champion diversity at each individual role right now. I mean, and I think Coco's a great example of that. Yeah, he plays a lot of LeBlanc. Yeah, he's good on the Jace and stuff like that, but Orianna, Ezreal being fit in there as well. Right now, everybody on CJ has a lot of different champions they can play well, and like you said, they're bringing in that, right buzzword incoming, strategic diversity that is so important to win games here in Korea. And it's really not something we're used to from CJ. Neither Frost nor Blaze really did that a lot. Space's Callista didn't exactly look the greatest, but man, does he look good on Sivir.
Yeah, it's true. And we've also seen Corki bans against him because people are afraid of it. So he's been falling back on that Sivir pick after some other bans. And Mad Life is a man who's been pretty revitalized. He was mechanically shoddy in the preseason, but has tightened up his mechanics considerably since then, making some good Thresh plays and controlling Vision surprisingly well. And I'm just so impressed with Mad Life because he looked like he was nearly done in the preseason.
I think
he really charged back.
I think most of us were kind of thinking that in this preseason. It looked like they just kind of needed to scrap everything and go for a whole new roster, but they stuck with it, and somehow, some way, this roster seems to have just clicked now that the regular season is here. Maybe they were just hiding their true strength from us the entire time.
Well, they did have a bit of a shift in their coaching staff. They opted not to pick up one of their coaches' contracts, and so perhaps that had something to do with it, or
could be.
Perhaps the start of the regular season signaled no more vacation time, and CJ, seeing the opportunity that they could have in this brand new Korean scene, decided to pick it up once again.
Yeah, well, let's take a look at some stats here between all of these players. And that, of course, is the long, illustrious win-loss rate. I would guess probably for, what do you think? KT Bolts or Arrows there with that one?
It's probably Arrows, but as the original team, going back to the original KT. But who knows? And coming in right here, we do see the old Frost stats, and taking a look at some Barons and Dragons here. CJ, very early Dragon timers, as you can see right there, and kind of 7 Dragons. Of course, in their game against Najin, getting that many.
And, of course, the jungle is going to be a place where a lot of people are going to be looking today. Score versus Ambition in the preseason, we mentioned this earlier. Score looked significantly better in a lot of ways, mechanically, decision-making wise, but now, excuse me, but now Ambition is the one who's raking in all the wins. And to be fair, Ambition has really improved on all those points that we just mentioned, mechanically, decision-making wise. You can't discount that Score has made a very good transition into the jungle.
Yeah, so far, considering the very short timeline that he's had in order to make this change, I definitely think that he's looking quite good as it is. And especially we've seen his bans on the Rengar. This is when they ran the double invisibility comp up against Najin, and it looked like it was going to work, but then they kept engaging with Twitch in the late game instead of letting him follow up on the engages from Rengar, and they ended up more or less losing as a result of poor engages and just not knowing when to stop trying to create picks with Twitch and trying to start team fighting instead.
Yeah, I think that KT is going to be doing well if they can keep this Jarvan away from Ambition. He's proven to be extremely effective on that champion. Yeah, he might be an easy champion to play, but Ambition knows how to make it work at the pro level. It's all you need.
Yeah, and the follow-up to his Jarvan engages, too, has been fantastic. And as you saw that first kill against Faker's Ahri also, you have to remember that Coco was running Cleanse on Ezreal that game, and so didn't have the finishing power of an Ignite and was still able to pick up a couple kills on Faker in lane with the help of Mad Life and Ambition.
Oh, they really camped him hard, and it ended up working out really well.
There we go. Another little dive right there. Ambition turning this one around, actually managing to keep alive under his turret, nearly getting the double.
Very cool. And so, that's our setup for today's match. And now the coach is coming to booth, and we'll get ready for picks and bans for game number 1 between the KT Rollsters, or and CJ Entis.
Yeah, very interesting matchup. Of course, everybody has eyes on CJ. Is this a fluke? Are they just going to continue powering through this season?
That's the thing, is they did beat arguably the 2 best teams in Korea going into this, but I find it hard to believe that this is going to continue. You know, maybe I'm pessimistic. Maybe I've just seen way too many CJ games, but I just feel like it can't last. I'd love to be proven wrong. We'll see if I am. Time to get into picks and bans for game number 1, CJ versus KT. And here we are, that Lulu ban right off the bat, a good flex pick, and Shy showing that he can actually play that Lulu quite well in the top lane.
Yeah, I'd be worried about Lulu for sure, because Shy has been one of the players who will still play Lulu in the top lane. It certainly isn't entirely meta. Lissandra going out. Bit of a surprise. Someday hasn't shown the strongest Lissandra game so far, but it is a power ban in any case. Janna taken out on the blue side right now. Remember, Rek'Sai is available. We are still on patch 4.21 here.
Yep.
And it has been banned pretty much every game. We've only seen it picked once so far. And the Gnar still quite potent as well. And naturally banned out mostly on that red side.
Yeah, the Rek'Sai pick that we saw, Lee was not able to really get a lot done with it. But I hope we get to see it again.
Yeah, and that Rengar too is a target ban
I'm sorry, Eve actually.
Eve, yes,
Yeah,
on
that's it, yeah.
Samsung. And the Rengar has been banned multiple times against Score so far. People think that even though KT has been struggling a little bit, he creates too much pressure on the map with that one pickup. And so it'll be banned out once again. Kassadin taken out for KT. So now Gnar or Rek'Sai will be up.
And which is going to be, I would imagine if they're going to leave anything, they're going to leave that Rek'Sai up. I feel like that's a safer thing. And now actually they're going to leave both, banning out that Rumble instead. And Rek'Sai, wow, immediately picked up by KT. Now, do they actually have a plan for this? That's the question. You know, I feel like we've seen teams pick up these new champions without really having a solid plan of how to use them.
Well, the thing about Rek'Sai is that she's just so powerful right now. She can deal so much damage, has such great ganking potential.
CJ is going to get Gnar and Jarvan, though, if they want to here. This seems very dangerous.
It is, but Rek'Sai is still very powerful. Her map control is insane. Although, if I was CJ, given KT's ability to play the map in the first couple of games, I wouldn't be too concerned with it because they haven't demonstrated the amount of teamwork I think necessary to play out Rek'Sai to the full potential.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And instead, they are going to go for Corki and LeBlanc, taking away Nagne's most picked champion so far in this season, grabbing it 3 times. And it's been banned against Coco, and Corki's been banned against Space. So it looks like CJ just going for comfort picks for their players in this early round, but that's going to leave Gnar up still.
Makes sense. What is KT going to grab? Yeah, Gnar is still available. And the Jarvan is still available too.
Yeah, they could run Jarvan in the top lane. They can also run Rek'Sai in the top lane. I've seen some professional top laners doing that in solo queue so far. Nagne hovering over that Azir and maybe looking for a little bit more appeal with the Morgana.
Ooh, the Azir is locked in for Nagne. Cool. And Morgana as well. Interesting.
Gnar falling surprisingly far down the draft right now. It's usually been a first-round choice for either blue or red side.
Yeah.
And now, we'll see what the other pickup will be.
Let's find out.
For CJ Entis. I mean,
Yeah.
not sure what exactly they're going to look for here. They're waiting for a long time before picking that Gnar. I'm not sure if they're concerned about a possible counter pick or not. But Gnar has been so dominant in lane and hasn't been nerfed yet.
I feel like it could work pretty well, and let's take both junglers away. Why not?
I mean,
Run that Lee Sin up in the top lane, but looks like Mad Life's going to be taking the Annie to bot lane.
Corki Annie, so looking for some good engage. I think the Corki Thresh is a little bit better, even if you are worried about the Morgana. I think the Thresh, definitely one of Mad Life's traditionally most dominant champions.
Yeah. Huh. I don't think we're going to see the Draven, but we might see the Kog'Maw.
Kog'Maw has plenty of peel in this game, so it actually would be a decent pickup right there. And I don't think we're going to see the Kalista again. It has lost both of the games that we've seen her played so far. I don't think the players are really ready yet.
I agree. I think Sivir Gnar would be a great pickup.
So much engage potential as well, because the great thing about Rek'Sai is she transitions beautifully into engage in the late game.
Yeah.
And also just has that great early game map presence.
Well, the Gnar locked in, and there's the Sivir as well. And so the final pick now going to CJ. What's it going to be? Yeah, Shai's Mundo is really strong.
Question is he going to have such an easy time zoning out the backline in this game, because Azir ult can move him out of the way and keep some of these carries in the fight already. I think it will be much more difficult to play Mundo against this composition, but he's going to lock it in anyway.
Yeah. All right, well, there it is. The Mundo picked up by Shai, and so CJ. Interesting combination of things.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And yeah, just fixing up that Morgana already. I'm a bit surprised by the Sivir pickup. I think they could have gone for a more high damage AD carry, because they have I feel sufficient engaged, but it would have been better, I think, maybe to have that Kog'Maw coming in because of all of the peel that they have around their AD carry already.
That is true. I mean, their team really isn't the type to just like dash in, you know?
So might be interesting, and I'm really intrigued by what Shy is going to be doing on this Mundo. He did get to unkillable tank status and did a great job of zoning in the last game he played, but that will be more difficult this time. I think a lot of the onus is on Coco in order to actually make some plays on the flank and get in onto Nagne, because he's going to be quite well protected right here. I have to say, KT Rolster's composition is really good.
Yeah.
I mean, these are Gnar, Rek'Sai, Azir, and Sivir are 4 champions that are extraordinarily powerful in the current meta. And while Jarvan, LeBlanc, and Corki are as well, I still have to give the edge to KT right now.
Well, we'll see if KT can get their first win of the season or CJ continues the streak. Let's get in the game. All right, here we are, guys. KT Rolster versus CJ Entis. Welcome once again to Summoner's Rift, another week of Champions Spring.
Nagne rocking the Stargate skin.
Yeah. There's a lot of Stargate stuff going on in League of Legends over the years, which is okay because Stargate was a great movie. TV show is pretty good too.
I never saw the TV show, but it was a great movie.
That's right. I'm usually not a big fan of TV shows that come from movies, but this one was okay.
I've heard it was good.
Yeah.
Well, Shy may have a bit of a rough time in the top lane. I'm really wondering if CJ is going to try and lane swap right here, because they kind of have losing matchups in both lanes. Of course, they have that Morgana counterpick in lane to the Thresh. And Sivir has been a pretty big bully against Corki, so CJ would benefit very much from a lane swap right here. Someday able to put down a lot of harassment early on onto that Mundo as well. You can see going for the longsword start for some additional punch in lane.
Well, is there a reason CJ might want to lane swap this then?
Yeah, no, they definitely want to lane swap this.
Looks like they are.
And Deep Ward's coming in from CJ, and we can see that KT attempting to call the lane swap right now. And indeed, they will succeed in their attempt. So KT getting the lanes they want is actually huge, because not only do they have a great composition, but they're going to get lane dominance, or at least a lane advantage right from the start if they play it out correctly.
Yeah, well, we'll see how Nagne's Azir does this game. No questions about Coco's LeBlanc.
All right, so everybody right there. And look at Mundo teleporting immediately down to that bottom side. So TP advantage instantly for KT as well. This really couldn't be going better for them.
Yeah.
Fantastic start for KT. I mean, barring, of course, any level 1 shenanigans, but given that nothing's actually happened.
Well, that's the thing. I know. That's the thing. I mean, it's that you get this edge for KT early on fairly consistently, but then they usually just can't seem to hold it all together in the mid and late game.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting scenario. And, you know, if KT can't win under these conditions, I'm going to be very worried for them, because I feel that they have the edge coming in from Dixon Bands. They got the lanes they wanted, and really the onus is on them right now. They've been given everything in their favor.
Well, if you take a look at the matchup between these two supports, Chani with a little bit better numbers across the board, but I think no one can argue Mad Life is certainly having the better season so far.
Yeah, well, so far, it's undoubtedly true.
Yep.
Something I didn't expect to be saying this early on in the season.
I know, right? Yeah.
Really done well. Arrow not doing a lot of harassment right now. Full mana, full health, not really throwing out those boomerang blades. And we've really seen this matchup go heavily in favor of Sivir pre-6, just because of her ability to spam those boomerang blades and ricochets and get that good damage down early. Score coming through and recalling for a Stalker's Blade early on in this one.
I really can't wait to see Score try to pull off some of these ganks. We have not seen enough Rek'Sai yet in Champions.
No, I think this champion is absolutely fantastic. Great presence. And what we've seen in the limited number of Rek'Sai games so far is that when you start hitting level 6 and when you're in the laning phase, I think one of the most interesting conundrums for Rek'Sai is, do you try and hold on to your ult in order to react to something, or do you just immediately get back into the jungle? And I think that over time, how we saw Eve playing it, is that you just use your ult to get back into your jungle immediately. Because when you think about it, while the laning phase is still going on, when you're like level 6, 7, and 8, it makes more sense to just get your presence back in the jungle immediately so that you can react from the jungle already instead of having that travel time to come back in and then have to react. So it just extends the amount of time that it takes for the jungler to get to the location that he's going instead of just blowing it immediately, because it also speeds up your farming. And Rek'Sai's clear speed is so fast already that you can start to get level advantages or gold and item advantages on the enemy jungler and really make the most out of it. So we haven't seen a lot of this yet, and I think that's going to be very interesting to watch as the pro scene starts to play more and more Rek'Sai. But how these ultimates are used, the first couple at the very least, because you really just don't have any time where you're not in your own jungle or able to make a play on a lane, which is incredibly powerful. 0 downtime.
And true enough, not to mention that stream that Rek'Sai makes really terrifies everybody
Right,
else on the
it's a
enemy
mind
team.
game. Yeah, it's a mind game, absolutely.
Where's she going to come out?
Where's the Rek'Sai?
Yep.
It's like
Find the Rek'Sai.
a more deadly version of Where's Waldo.
That's true. Only when you find Waldo, he kills you. That's that's not a good one. Oh, where's Waldo? Where's Rek'Sai?
Rek'Sai's in a bush.
They should have a Where's Waldo Rek'Sai skin for. Oh.
Wow, they're
Oh.
going really. Well, I'm surprised Score didn't decide to react right there.
Yeah, that was a little bit surprising. It seemed like it was a golden opportunity. Do you
Well,
think maybe he thought Ambition was
yes.
close by?
They have
That's
no.
probably it.
They have no wards,
Yeah.
and it's weird for Mad Life in space to walk up on you in that
There
situation.
we go. Coming in, forcing the flash out of Mad Life. They get the knock up onto space. He gets out on the lantern, but already a win there. Getting that summoner.
Yeah, good flash by Mad Life though, just so
Yep.
he can get space out of there without using a summoner himself. And yeah, those were some mind games from CJ, because Ambition was actually in base at that time, but they really assumed that with that aggressive forward movement on the wave, then Ambition was going to pop out of the river, but didn't do so. Now Nagne is 6. He should be perfectly safe from Ambition's ganks here in the mid lane.
Seems that way for now. And in the bot lane, things going about as we expected, but I gotta say Shy has not been doing a terrible job in terms of keeping up with CS. He's down by 11, which isn't good, but it could be a lot worse.
Yeah, it could be a lot worse, and it could be a lot worse for Space and Mad Life too. Arrow and Hachani really haven't been ratcheting up the aggression, and this is not really the same Sivir Corki lane that we've seen repeatedly be bullied out, have that CS disadvantage early on, rather, against a Sivir. And in this counter matchup, you would expect KT to be pushing a little harder, but even with Score in the jungle, they weren't making a lot of aggressive plays or trying to zone him out. So, bit of a missed opportunity, I think, for KT.
Well, with Coco doing just fine in the mid lane, too, so far. Things not really being capitalized on. But that's kind of been a big part of KT's season, right? You know, not able to capitalize on situations like this.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And we're only 2 matches in, but
it's
still.
a long season, obviously, and you know the first few matches may not make a big difference in the long run if a team catches up and gets hot later in the season. There's a dark binding cutting in from Hachani. Can't quite land onto Coco, but a nice attempt. And now we see Arrow sticking up in the top lane.
With a season like this, like the format we have now, these first few weeks, it's like, all right, well, we're seeing kind of signs of things, but let's get back to this in like a month and a half, and see where teams are at now. And then we'll have a much better sense of where people really stand in relation to each other here.
Yeah, not all of our teams have even played 3 matches yet, and each team is playing 14 best of 3s over the course of the season. So still plenty of time to recover.
Very true.
And make a difference. Ambition going to aggro the dragon right now because they did know that Arrow is still moving into the bottom lane. CJ deciding for the swap much faster, but Shy doesn't have teleport, so this is a bit risky.
Yeah, they tried to sneak that one, but I don't think they're going to get away with it.
The problem with what CJ did was that they were trying to be clever, and they had Shy down in the bottom lane up until Space walked into bottom side. However, by that time, Arrow had already pushed the wave up to the tier 1 in the top lane, which necessitated Shy's teleport up into the top lane tower. So they couldn't actually, if he wanted to get that experience and gold, and so they couldn't actually threaten that dragon fully when Arrow went back late because Shy's TP wasn't up. So it was a good timing from CJ, and had they been undisturbed, maybe it could have gotten it, but also couldn't complete the dragon attempt safely due to the way that Arrow pressured the wave in the top side and CJ's early exit from that lane. So good decision by CJ overall, a nice try, but...
Go. We may have this Rek'Sai coming in. Score. Wondering if he could make a play here in the bot lane. Mad Life and Space though playing things fairly safe.
And now they're
or are they?
trying to get an angle, but I mean, you see Mad Life, he's just waiting back there right now.
Oh, he's tunneling through. Look at that. And Mad Life flays him away, taking a lot of damage. There's a knock-up Score. A little bit of trouble here, but first blood does go to Arrow. Nice.
And Mad Life, his instincts were serving him so well before it. He blew his flash earlier, and he was just standing by the turret thinking that something was up, and then got ambushed around the side by that Rek'Sai tunnel. And you have to be very careful when you play against Rek'Sai because she can burrow through really big walls.
Yeah, like that one.
Like that one.
The other thing, too, is that they caught Mad Life just before his flash came back up again, too. So really nice timing there. Just barely squeezing that gank in before the summoner was available again.
Yeah, great point. Shy, however, has caught up in terms of CS, so he'll be doing quite well. And Shy, you know, I really like how we're seeing Shy prioritize this Sunfire Cape on Mundo. It's not an item that we see too much anymore because I think people tunnel too much on getting the Randuins early, but it's not that important for early team fights before these AD carries really start to get a lot of items into play. And the pressure you can put down with the Mundo in terms of wave clear and split pushing with the Sunfire means that you'll get the Randuins by the time you really need it anyway. You'll get more farm, and you'll force the enemy to react at times that they wouldn't otherwise have to. So first Dragon will go over to KT as Mad Life is up on the top side of the map. They'll respond with the blue buff steal.
Okay.
Hand that over to Coco, so CJ at least getting something for it.
Oh,
And
I think
Ambition. Yeah, gonna smite that one away.
Yep. That's right. Coco chasing Nagne out of lane for now. We'll have to be a little bit more careful about that one. Chased him away.
And looks like Score going to head into the bottom side jungle right here and perhaps lay a trap alongside Mad Life. Yeah, they're waiting in a pink brush, trying to see if they can bait Ambition in. I don't think he's, or anyone else really, is going to fall for this, and they will have to pull back.
Well, Coco using that W. Got away, though. Ambition. The Chani's right there as well, too. Everybody's
Chani
having
is
a
6. If he
good
hits
time in mid
something,
lane.
okay, but Ambition.
Oh, there's the ult. Ambition manages to flash his way out of it, though.
Yeah, forced the flash, got the pink ward in the end, and they have the pressure on the lane. This is going to give Someday some time to get a deep ward in. So not too bad, all things considered. This has been a really interesting early game so far. Score not using his ult yet.
Well, he didn't really have any tunnels. Oh, no, he did have tunnels nearby.
He's got
one
tons.
in the mid lane, yeah.
He's got tons. So
Tons of tunnels.
Tons of tunnels. And Space
Oh,
going to take a little bit of damage right there, but
Take a
with
lot of
Arrow
damage.
out of mana,
Score could just come back here. Now, Space still has his flash. So it'd be tough to gank that. Mad Life, of course, by this time has his summoners both up again, so Score just turning back into his jungle.
yeah, Score did use his flash to get the knock up on the last gank as well, so he's not going to have that tool available to him for a little bit.
Yep.
And another Trinity Force Gnar coming in. It really didn't work out for Duke, and Duke had a much more significant early advantage than Someday did. The issue is that I feel that you're not able to quite bully people out enough with that build to make up for the fact that as an extraordinarily expensive item, it delays your tankiness by such an insane degree. And Shy getting Sunfire Cape means that he's just going to be able to stand there and clear the wave anyway. So he's going to have good split push pressure as well, and he's going to have an item that is going to be better in the team fight situation.
Yeah.
It
is a bit
I mean,
surprising,
I've seen this with Duke, who had a dominating early game, pick up a couple kills, and there's
There's the
Rek'Sai.
Yeah, just using that to get back into the jungle.
I think it's really smart to do that. I think that's absolutely the best way to use the ult right now.
Yep.
Use
there's
it.
action in the mid
use
lane
it.
here. Ambition coming in, and they managed to get the flash and the barrier out of Nagne actually there.
Yeah, impressive.
Yeah, not used by Coco, but not too bad for CJ overall. But yeah, the Trinity Force on Gnar, it is confusing because, like you said, even when we saw it got in a situation where there was a big lead for the person playing Gnar, it still became a problem because of the team fights later on in the game. So if you go for this when you don't have a big lead, in fact, when you're down in CS, then how will you ever be relevant enough in team fights?
I agree with you, and like you said, it's not so much about the late game as it is that it delays your mid-game power spike. Because once you're 6 items, having that Trinity Force is actually incredibly slot efficient as opposed to, let's say, Gnar building a Hex Drinker first.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
cheaper, but not going to be so great. So in the late game, it's not a big factor, but in the match that we're talking about where Duke built it, he did have those couple early kills, but they couldn't snowball the lead that Duke had with the Trinity Force, and I don't see them able to do it here either because of the way that Shy has itemized this Mundo. You'll notice that Someday really hasn't been able to get that much pressure, and in fact, Shy is up in CS. So Shy is going to be the bigger force in team fights. Someday isn't going to be able to push him out of lane or seriously and actively push the wave into turret without Shy clearing it. And so what's the point, really?
Yeah. Well, I think this next Dragon fight is going to be very telling whether or not that Trinity Force is worth it, which will be in about a minute 30.
I mean, I really think that CJ, in terms of power spikes right now with Corki, they're going to be in a better position. Score is there to try to harass Ambition where he can. And you know, one of the other really strong aspects of Rek'Sai is what you don't see with her. That tremor sense is very powerful for a jungler because in a professional context, one of the biggest problems is when do I go into the enemy jungle to deep ward? Because if you don't have vision, you can't walk in there. Uh-oh. Ambition maybe getting pinched.
Oh boy, yeah he is. 3v1 and Ambition taken down easily. Kill going to Hachani. Yeah, Ambition just in the wrong place at the wrong time there.
But that's one of those moments where Rek'Sai is very powerful. With her tremor sense, you know when you can invade safely because you can see the things in the fog of war that are coming.
Yeah.
And therefore, you can make more aggressive ward plays. You get more information that no other champion in the game can really give you. And you do it secretly. So let's say you have Ashe, who's sending hawk shots in, or Callista, who's sending the sentinels in.
Yeah.
Well,
Coco.
okay.
Didn't have a lot of time
Yeah,
to talk
it's
about
caught
that
right
one.
there
That
by
one's over.
Arrow.
Yeah. Have to see a replay of that, but I think Hachani just locked him down, and Arrow didn't need a lot of time with that Infinity Edge.
No, he did not, and this is a big moment. KT may be able to get the mid turret here, and they're almost certainly going to get the next dragon, considering Coco about 10 seconds delayed off the dragon timer. So this is prime. That's a prime kill for KT.
Yeah, I
perhaps
guess so.
able to take 2 objectives off of it, and that is sloppy by CJ. Can't die right now.
Well, let's see if they go for it. They've got that vision control. Dragon is up. Oh, they try to jump on a Mad Life. They catch him too. CJ just keeps walking into these situations this game. And this is going to be an easy Dragon pickup.
Yeah,
Wow.
CJ looking rather disjointed this time around. Rek'Sai just got to ult after pushing the top lane, and they'll get a dragon as well. So a little bit of insurance there from Score coming in with the smite at the last second.
Yep.
Clever play, and they denied a bunch of CS up in the top lane as well to Shy. So CJ just not looking on point today, and KT making some crucial plays and picks in order to take some objectives and start building a substantial lead.
Yep. Oh, Coco getting knocked again. There's the ult coming in from Nagne.
Yeah, tried to make the play, ulting back into the turret, but
Yeah.
Coco using that distortion to get back to his original location, so he will dodge the damage off of that and stay alive.
Well, it's certainly hard to lock down those LeBlancs, but it doesn't take very much time if you do to take them out.
Coco sticking around right now.
Yeah.
Shy doing what he can.
All right, well, CJ definitely down right now. but not out. Still, though, this is the worst we've seen them have it. Arrow getting chased away by Shy. Ah, here comes Score, though. Shy has the ult pop. There's a knockup. Will they be able to kill him after the ult finishes? Shy getting back into that turret anyway. That top lane turret's getting really low.
Score going for a Sightstone on Rek'Sai, not an item that we frequently see on this champion.
Yeah, interesting.
But really prioritizing controlling that vision and making sure that they can snowball their lead. And that's another turret down in favor of KT. Outer ring destroyed for them. And wow, they're really making strong plays. CJ continues, though, with good cross-map plays on the buffs at the very least, so they're not getting completely blown out by some of this more active map movement from KT, but it's starting to look pretty bad for them.
Well, we've seen KT in the lead before, and we've seen them kind of blow those leads, but is today the turning point? Oh, Someday gets totally caught, tries to flash away, gets out of the Cataclysm with the hop, but Ambition just finishes him off with that smite, I think.
That's right, chilling smite for the kill, getting a little bit of that true damage in.
More like killing smite. Oh, Score, locked up with the chains. Arrow forced way back towards his turret. Can they come over the wall here? Doesn't look like they're interested in it. That needs to be the new enchantment, Killing Smite. Insta-gives anyone below 30% health. Yeah.
I love it. You know, I'm sure most junglers would love it too.
Too bad it's only available to supports.
Oh.
Yeah. That's how it has to be. We need the gold going to the right people, you know?
Someday now itemizing into the magic resist. Probably a good idea. A lot of magic damage. That's going to be very efficient against Shy, Coco, and Space.
Yep.
So, good start for KT, but we've seen this from them before, and this is kind of the point in the game where typically they start to fall apart. When they have to transition into good, solid shot calling and engages, they tend to make errors which allow the other team back into the game after a tight early game plan.
See, the thing with CJ and KT as organizations in LoL is like they're the teams that have betrayed our trust the most, you know? Or they look good, and then they just suddenly throw it at the end, you know, they just choke or something like that, and it happens over and over. Or they've looked bad for a long time, and then suddenly, bizarrely, they're looking really good. It's just hard to trust CJ and KT, you know?
Well, KT, they are the reigning champions winners, so.
True.
But CJ hasn't made a splash in quite some time, it's true.
So I believe I've heard a certain credit by a certain Monte Cristo that called KT Arrows the worst team to ever win champions.
They were. They were the worst team to ever win champions, but they still won, Doa.
I was thinking more of the KT Bullets days, you know, the Heartbreaker days.
The Heartbreaker days.
Yeah, that's right. The days that drove Ryu from the finals of Champions Summer 2013 to my bench in Fantasy LCS this season. Poor Ryu.
He's going to prove you wrong, Doa, with a stunning season on H2K.
See, that's why I've got him on there. You never know. I haven't given up on, I'll never give up on Ryu. Not completely. In my heart, he'll always be second best Korean mid lane. Yep.
Well, CJ playing back right now, waiting for an opportunity. Not much they can do at the moment, but they have to prevent some more of these dragons. This will be potentially dragon number 3 for KT Rolster, and they keep getting these stacked up. I'm really worried about Shy right now, Doa, because he's got a Warmogs. He's getting chunked out by Someday a little bit, but he's going to be really...
he needs some armor, I think.
Well, he's going to be really strong in these team fights, however, so that's a bit of a concern for KT, whereas Someday, split push going to be good. Nagne getting chunked out by Coco. No damage in return on the trade.
Well, that's the thing with this team for CJ. I mean, even if they do miss kind of the typical quirky power spike, you've still got champions like Dr. Mundo, like LeBlanc, that are going to be really scary the longer the game goes on.
And Jarvan is a very scary late-game jungler as well. Not, of course, not because of his damage, but because crowd control wins late-game team fights, and he's got a lot of it.
Certainly does.
So, set up here, 20 seconds remaining. Teleport up for both of our top laners. They'll feel comfortable going in. Nagne has managed to heal up just a little bit. Someday goes back and completes his Banshee's Veil. Pretty crucial item right there. And Shy Getting a Warden's Mail as well. Man, he is getting
Okay.
really tanky.
Well, CJ really needs this dragon. I mean, when your opponents start to get 3, 4 dragons, then you start to really worry. So this is a big one for CJ in terms of how this game is going to go.
Right, and it is live. Vision control advantage over to KT right now. CJ not able to get in.
Whoa.
Ambition taking
People
quite
need
a
to
bit
not-
of damage, but Nagne.
That was good poking for CJ. And I was going to say, CJ just needs to not get caught here. And
Nagne
with
hadn't
Nagne
taken that
getting
damage.
caught-
He could control that choke, but now he can't.
Yep.
So CJ actually going to walk in right there. Nagne taking a chunk from Coco, absolutely huge in CJ's ability to get into that river.
Still dangerous. Shy's going to have to do a really good job zoning. They're gonna
Nagne
activate that
zipping
dragon.
out, though, with the home guard, so maybe he'll be there by the time this is finished, but
Oh boy, I think this could get a little bit ugly. CJ, they've almost got that dragon down. Can they do it? Oh, Nars
Steal.
someday managed to grab it. He hit that thing with a building. Wow. So third dragon goes to KT off of the steal from Meganar.
yeah, even though Ambition used the smite right there as well,
Yeah.
so bit lucky for KT.
Just a little bit early, I guess.
Yeah, lucky for KT that they managed to get that out, but that is huge. Movement
know-
speed buff going to be quite useful for them.
If you're having issues in life, just throw a building at it. It's big. It'll probably take out whatever's in front of you. That's the Meganar philosophy. I think we could all learn a lot. You know?
From throwing buildings at people?
Yeah, you know.
Well, when I turn into a giant monster, I'll be sure to keep that in mind, though. Unfortunately, I don't have that ability yet.
That's good. I would just keep you away from whatever building I was near if that was the case.
OGN has their top scientist working on that, though, so that I can
right.
be a monster throwing buildings shortly.
The finals, we can go from casters to mega casters. That's right. Sounds good to me. Wow, someday. What a guy.
A very low kill game so far, but it's been pretty action-packed, actually. A lot of interesting lane swaps and lane assignments so far. Tense moments around these dragon pits. So high-level game. KT definitely playing their best game of the season so far.
Yeah, and we're reaching that crucial point where can they keep it up or not? You know, that's the question. If they can do it for like another 5 to 7 minutes, they will have kind of broken their record as far as controlling games goes this season.
I agree, and I'm still worried about CJ's composition in the late game. I'm really afraid that they gave KT too many of these power picks right now, and even with this Trinity Force Gnar start, which I think has a pretty substantial power trough right now in the mid game, they may be able to pull this one out. Just
Certainly could be.
considering how strong the rest of their composition is.
Whoa, trying to get some damage in on the score. That's a crazy thing is that there really haven't been any full-fledged team fights yet in this game.
Also, I want to point out scores CS compared to Jarvan.
Wow. Wow, that is
50
huge CS for a jungler.
Ahead. Yeah, well, that's the power of Rek'Sai here in 4.21 is your
Definitely.
ability to farm so quickly. And not only that, but look at the difference in movements. Ambition is not farming side waves right now, and in fact, Arrow is doing a lot more of the wave clearing, but Rek'Sai is able to put split push pressure on in a way that most other junglers that are played professionally in this meta cannot.
Yeah.
Her dueling potential is extremely good, outputting just a lot of damage with her Q. So you could pull these tricks.
You know what I wonder, though? You can stand on not Gnar tunnels. You can stand on Rek'Sai tunnels to collapse him. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's a hole. How can you do this? I feel like if you walk over a Rek'Sai tunnel, you should fall in and get like stunned for a second or two, you know?
I agree with you, and not only that, but
Yeah.
how does Rek'Sai use these tunnels if they're so fragile that when you stand on them, they collapse? It seems very
Seriously.
perilous.
Yeah, no kidding. It seems like they should be more like one-use kind of things, you know? But I don't know. Rek'Sai, she didn't go to architect school. You know, it was just kind of...
All of her buildings collapse immediately.
That's right.
She's a very poor engineer.
I guess so. They last only 8 minutes. That's how long these buildings last.
Nobody would hire her. That's why she has to fight on Summoner's Rift. She just wanted a desk job, guys.
Yep. I feel like you could, you should be able to push other champions into the tunnels and then collapse them. Just knock them out of the game for the rest of the time the game goes.
Buried alive.
That's right.
Now, Space going for a Bloodthirster as his second item, so pretty low damage build, but has some of that security against the poke from Nagne and Arrow. Not sure how this is going to work out for him. Shy continuing to put pressure onto the top side. Someday finally starting to get some armor here. And looks like he'll be building into his Sunfire as well, presumably.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Cool. Kind of dangerous, though. I mean, with all that fur being on fire, I would not be comfortable. I don't know. Oh, he doesn't really have fur today, though.
Gnar just smells like burning hair all the time.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
That's really great zoning, man. No one wants to get near that. It's true. It's made from real bits of Gnar, so you know it's good.
Ugh.
Wonderful aroma.
Roast Yordle.
Roast prehistoric Yordle.
It's been aged like a fine steak.
Yeah, yeah, aged steaks. Those are good, man. I love a good aged steak.
Well, you'd love Gnar with the Sunfire Cape then.
That's right. It comes pre-cooked. How convenient. Thank you, Gnar.
Well, it's like someday just trying to defend against space here in the mid lane, not taking a whole lot of damage. Again, that pretty low damage build from space this time around. And
Jarvan kind of looks like he's playing air guitar when he's collapsing a backside tunnel.
what else are you going to do? You just have to wait there for a second. You might as well do it with some style, don't you think?
True. I would just do something cool, like, I don't know, throw a bottle rocket in it or something, you know?
See what happens?
Yeah. Or just yell at it really loudly and see if I can just collapse it like that.
Well, they are very structurally unsound, so it wouldn't surprise me. Coco.
It's like hairband metal singer could probably do it.
Oh!
Oh, wow. That was nearly a catch on the Mega Gnar. Now, about 10 seconds till Dragon's up again. And if KT gets this one, I think it's going to be very hard for CJ to come back. It's already hard for CJ to come back, but
I mean, the
we'll
goal total isn't that large, but they need to actually make a play onto this Dragon.
Yeah.
However, this time they haven't been chunked out yet. There's a
Teleport.
teleport coming in.
Yeah, Shy making his move here. Dr. Mundo walking down. Dragon's already been started by KT.
Oh, man. Shy is a monster. He's already level 17.
Certainly is. Getting poked, though, by those Sand Soldiers. And Coco coming in to get a little bit of poke as well. Manages to get out just fine.
He's 2 levels up on Gnar right now.
Jeez. Someday getting close to Mega Gnar again. So if CJ is going to make a move, they need to make it now. It looks like they're just playing things a bit more passively.
Coco's still trying to get that flank. He has to get around the side in order to get behind the Azir wall that will come out onto the main body of
Shy.
CJ.
Look at that. Taking so much damage after being hit with that Dark Binding. Score coming in as well. Someday, Mega Gnar activated immediately. Arrow gets forced away by Coco for now, but now Coco trapped back in the Dragon.
Oh, he missed the chain.
And that is going to be a dead Coco. Or is it? Yeah, it is. Meanwhile, they managed to take out a Chani. Arrow still very low health, but Mega Gnar on the job. Shy still trying to zone quite well. CJ not out of this one quite yet. Ambition had to back away in space, not able to do a lot of damage from the outside of this fight. Now firing over the wall and getting some hits onto Nagne.
I just don't know how CJ is planning to engage in these fights, because with the Azir ult up, they just don't have very many options, because if they run at them, they're just going to get pushed back, and Coco has to be on the flank in that scenario. And if they have vision on Coco, they'll be able just to catch the flank immediately while the Azir wall is still there. So
yeah.
I just conceptually don't get, unless KT makes a mistake, how CJ is going to be able to play this. Now, the Azir wall is down, so they will have an advantage coming into this Dragon.
Oh, they're just
and there's the teleport.
Score coming in. He dodges, does not get the knock up onto space. He got grabbed by Madlife. Shy getting chunked down as he's kind of going 1v5 right now. Someday pops at Mega Gnar. Everyone's going off onto Shy, and all they need to do is kill him, and that's exactly what they did. And now CJ really does not have much of a chance at this Dragon, I don't think.
And they keep on zoning them out. And look at Nagne, got control of the choke. That's exactly where he should be. And KT rolls to Dragon number 4 right now.
Wow.
In a very controlled game by them. But I really feel that this was a poor draft from CJ Entus, and they sort of backed themselves into a corner here.
Let's watch this one again. Shy gets kind of separated from the rest of his team.
Well, it's exactly what they want. KT will fight in this choke every day with those Sand Soldiers. There's no way for the rest of CJ Entus to get in as long as Nagne has the zone on that choke point by the Dragon. It's exactly the situation that KT wants, and there's no way to get in on the back line.
And score there, although he didn't really need or get to make any big plays. He did manage to push CJ back and kind of create that separation. So kind of gave his life for that team fight there, or almost gave his life. He actually didn't even die.
Yeah, and they've got map pressure as well, KT coming in, so KT looking much more decisive than in their previous showing so far this season.
Yeah, Space looking a little bit lackluster on that Corki as well, too.
I mean, he's got a CS advantage due to the fact that Score has taken so much lane CS, but the fact that he did as well as he did in a losing lane matchup was actually quite impressive. And he has that less Whisper now, so he will be dealing some more damage.
Oh, Mad Life getting caught. Ambition over the wall. They're going to lock up Arrow. Arrow gets taken down. And CJ really needed that kind of pick.
And can they turn this into a Baron is the question. They have to try. Score is split pushing. He has his ult to get there if need be. He's going to have to ult.
There it is. They're ulting. He's coming back into his jungle.
Are they going to turn, though? Looks like they will turn. Johnny uses his ult early.
He did, indeed. Shy coming out of the pit right now. Mad Life trying to protect Ambition, and Shy gets chunked out so fast again. Achani gets taken out by Coco, but CJ pushed away from that Baron.
Wow.
So now KT.
I'm actually surprised they're not turning back onto the Baron again. They still have some time, and they did take out Hachani as well. CJ not willing to take that risk, however. I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity right there. They had enough HP that I think they could have made a shot at it, or at least continued to dance around the Baron pit.
It was looking okay.
Yeah, it really was. And pretty lackluster Morgana ult right there. Soul Shackle just hitting one person.
Yeah.
I think he should have tried to make a more aggressive move for the mouth of the Baron pit and really locked everybody up in there. So CJ, I think, still has an ample opportunity to at least bait this Baron at the moment and force KT to engage on them again. Achani back up right now, so it would be a 5v5. Rek'Sai's ult should be back up in about 20-30 seconds.
Well, they're not able to clear out the Rift Scuttler ward, of course. So they kind of have to know that KT is going to have some vision on the Baron pit, even if all the other actual wards go down. And for right now, CJ just trying to keep that mid lane pushed. And stuff for the Baron again, trying to keep every lane pushed, really.
Yeah, this is a bit awkward for CJ, because now they're back in the same situation. If KT can create a pick, or even if they can just walk forward safely into a choke and control that again, they will be sitting pretty around this Baron. CJ trying to get into the enemy jungle at the very least, get some wards down. But they still have this mid turret to deal with, and that gives KT just extraordinary control over the Baron because he can never be shoved backwards. And they maintain the hold on the center of the map. Looks like Johnny's going to come around, get a bind onto Mad Life.
A lot of damage coming in from Noctnave Zazir, and that's going to be a kill. Meanwhile, Score backs away. But a nice pick onto Mad Life as Shy split pushes in this top lane.
Big minion waves coming in. But Rek'Sai going to go back, and she will always be able to ult back up, right up next to that Baron pit if necessary. And it's one of the great things about Rek'Sai. You effectively have a second TP for split pushing in the late game. So you could actually play 1-3-1 splits with the jungle for the first time probably since Jungle Zed, honestly.
Pretty exciting stuff. Wow, an Arrow just decimating this minion wave down in bot now. So that push won't last forever.
Okay. Well, CJ continuing to get zoned out right here, and even though the gold total's pretty close, this next dragon in a minute 20 will give KT number 5 and likely the victory if they are able to secure it. So this is a big timer in this game.
It would also be 5 dragons to 0 for CJ, too.
Well, CJ should have had one already, but Ambition missed his smite and allowed somebody to pick it up with Gar, and Coco just eliminates
Wow, that'll work.
Hachani.
No kidding. Who needs a DFG, right? Apparently not Coco, or most Korean LeBlancs. They don't care about that next patch.
Well, that was pretty nice, although it's not going to give them really any advantage around the dragon by the time the team fight comes. Just a warding edge, and perhaps they can slow it down or create another pick on KT's way to contesting this dragon. So take a look at Coco's build right there. He's had a lot of items. Great CS so far this game. He's stuck in there and gotten pretty scary himself.
Well, those Sand Soldiers are such good zoning tools as well, too, when your opponents are trying to rush in really quickly and take down a turret that has not much health left on it.
Azir is a fantastic champion overall. He gives you so much objective control, and his late game damage is pretty crazy as well. There we go. Ambition going to try and take out some of those tunnels. Playing his Jarvan air guitar.
Wild Stallions.
So KT may respond with a Baron.
Looks like they will. They're like, all right, sure. Go ahead and take your first dragon. We'll just take the Baron. Wow, I'm surprised that he just didn't do this. Now look at this, though. KT a little bit low. Can they actually pull this off?
Oh, yeah. That'll be fine.
All right, they can. There we go. They pulled it off. Oh, meanwhile, Nagne gets a bit grabbed. Oh, Ambition pushed out of his own.
Oh, wow. Coco around the side of the wall.
Not bad.
Impressive pickup on the follow-up. They baited him into using that wall so Coco could get around it. They take out Nagne, and CJ on a roll right now into the base as they continue to push down turrets. It's their fird dragon against a Baroned up KT.
Ambition could be in a bit of trouble here. He went deep. Someday managed to get the kill on that one. CJ having to back off now. Oh, Mad Life. Mad Life gets caught. Space, though, gets the kill on the Chani. Another Baron buff bites the dust. Score extremely low. CJ doing a good job of eliminating these buffs. An arrow may be about to go down. Shy taking him under the turret. Someday on his own. Wow, Shy gets a kill on the arrow. That
and the
Naro
ult
does
doesn't
nothing.
finish off anybody.
Wow.
4 Baron buffs eliminated by CJ as they roar back into this game, nearly tying up the gold score off of that one dragon.
Crazy.
They're
Are
going
they
to get
gonna
an
be able to get-
inhibitor.
They are.
Well, let's see. Nagne
think
up
they
in
can.
1. He has home guards.
I think they can get it.
They can get it, but is anybody going to die?
I think they can get away too. I believe. Score, or Shy rather, has to run fast.
Wow. Well, that was some clutch team fighting from
No
CJ.
kidding. Well, this is what CJ does, right?
I mean, they zone out everybody immediately. This is after Nagne's already been taken out. Ambition doesn't hit anybody, and so Shy trying to take some bullets for him. Can't save Ambition, but this point, KT overcommitting a little bit. You see Score come in with the tunnel, try and get the knock up. Instead, gets immediately chunked out before he can do anything at all. Coco on the perimeter while Shy gets into the mix. And that's just really good carry zoning. And then right after the transformation, there's the root. Shy flashes back to tie up Gnar after the LeBlanc route is completed. And even though Gnar gets that ult, doesn't provide any stuns, doesn't hit him into the wall, and doesn't get enough damage.
Talk about the boldness from CJ Entis, though, being like, all right, go ahead and take the Baron. We'll just get our dragon, and then we're going to beat you in a team fight and get all the buffs removed.
Yeah,
And
really
they actually did it.
clutch play from CJ, showing that they may be down, but they're certainly not out. But they have to control every dragon from now on. And against KT's champion composition, or team comp, that is going to be pretty darn difficult.
Yeah.
So they need to snowball this now, but they're well on their way with that inhibitor down and the push coming in.
Yeah, it's looking really good right now for CJ, for the moment anyway.
And KT, again, they've been in a similar situation, playing out a solid early and mid game, but now finding themselves poked out and outplayed in the late game. And, you know, Nagne's death right there, they're just a little bit out of position. And I feel that every time we see this, KT has underestimated their opponents in some fashion. They haven't been grouping properly. They haven't been taking their opponents as seriously as they should, and sometimes that results in a big play being made by the other team. And that's the other thing about KT as well, is that the way a lot of these games have turned around, like that game where Faker played Syndra, it was because of a big individual outplay. And Coco did that again there with that pick onto Nagne by coming around the side of the Azir ult. But KT, they just don't have a playmaker who can do that same thing. We haven't seen a big Someday play. We haven't seen a big Score. We haven't seen a big Nagne play. We haven't seen a big Arrow play.
Well, that's the thing about KT, is that you could say, yeah, they're all very good players individually, but none of them have that real big playmaking potential.
And they used to. And those players were named Rookie and Cacao, and now they're gone. And so I feel that KT has a very solid roster of workhorse players that are good. And KT has had good shot calling this game. But they lack the individual playmaker to to kind of get themselves into these games, and they find themselves vulnerable to a player like Faker or to a player like Coco, who can come up big when a clutch play is needed.
Very true. Very true. So CJ coming from pretty far down, now with an inhibitor destroyed in their favor, and more or less map control at the moment. Dragon up in about a minute. CJ still in a little bit of trouble in that they need to prevent that 5th dragon from being taken for KT. That could really turn the game back around for KT again. A lot rests on this final dragon.
Yeah, someday. Getting that Gnar a little bit early. We'll see if he has it back up again by the time the dragon rolls around. But another critical moment here for CJ Entus as they try and mount this defense. Space's build now, low damage in the early game, but now he's got a great build, I feel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Hachani has to burn that flash, and they turn. And they're just going to get a pick right there to CJ, finding people when they need to. Now Shy in the back. There's the Azir ult, but Score, oh, he gets caught. What a grab from Mad Life. Score manages to make it up, but that was a sick death sentence from Thresh. That's the old kind of Mad Life.
And Shy doing a wonderful job of zoning right there.
Yeah.
They can't fight a team fight very well when KT's all together, but they kind of divided and conquered right there, making sure Shy could actually bait out the Azir ult as well. That is huge. It will really prevent KT from making a play onto this dragon. Shy is still there.
Yeah, that's right. Now zoning out Score, and someday got that Mega Gnar back again just as the dragon came out, but they can wait it out.
Wow, I'm actually surprised they walked into the choke right there, but I guess they're less afraid with Azir having his ultimate down. Dragon is live. They're trying to wait out and zone out this Gnar so he can't make a play onto the dragon, and they will do so.
Wow, that is it. So 2nd dragon in a row now for CJ. And someday his ult ends. Can they catch anybody? Some nice damage coming through with that boomerang blade.
This is some really good poise from CJ, but KT looking so close at times and then just falling apart in the late game.
Yeah.
Who is the carry on this team?
Well, that's the thing. It's like we said, they really don't have one right now.
I mean, I'm up for arguments, but I don't know the answer to that. Who is KT's carry? Who is their big threat? And it's not that the players aren't good. It's just that they lack that star that will take them to the next level. Because we've seen them play very well for most of this game, but when it comes down to it, they just don't have that same, none of their players have the same carry potential.
Well, that's the thing, is any pro team should be expected to play well in any game, you know? But the thing that really separates the pro teams from like the top pro teams is that they can play well, but they also have those playmakers that give you that little bit of an edge you need to win games like this, to kind of turn close games in your favor. You need those big plays.
Yeah, and you know what, Doa? When Flame left CJ, I thought that maybe KT would pick him up because he would be that player that they really need, and that's their missing piece right now.
Yeah. You know, you have to wonder about players like EasyHoon as well, too. While he may not be known as like the big flashy playmaker like Faker, I feel like he does have that star potential, and he's shown that he can make just really good plays as well to get his teams out of situations like this. We've seen what he's done on his Xerath and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see if SKT ever
I don't think they're
decides
going to let him go. I don't think it'd be smart for them to let him go.
Yeah, let him go.
They're like, well, we've got 2 of the best mid laners. We shouldn't give away one of them, no. Or even trade him. I mean, who are you going to trade EasyHoon for at this point?
SKT doesn't really need many more pieces, I think, to be successful besides I think what really could take them to the next level is a top-tier jungler. But that's about it. And Korea lost Dandy and lost Kakao, so there really aren't junglers that...
It's okay. I'm confident that one of them is going to be back in the summer. Just wait for it, man. Doa's bold prediction, I predict at least 50% of those players will be back by the end of the year.
We'll see how it goes.
Yep.
Certainly some of those teams over in China, I mean, Vici, Dandy's team, not looking so awesome right now.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say, the grass is always greener, right?
On the other side of the rift.
Right. Yep. But we know that in Korea, the grass is actually just PC bonds. They're all better here. All right, well, here we go. CJ trying to go after that Baron. They will get pushed away someday.
Sunday's not anywhere close to his ult.
Yeah, got picked a little bit here. Ambition manages to get out of that dark binding. Shy is still able to zone fairly well. Oh, but look at this. KT does have a little bit of an edge in this bot lane.
But they have to protect their inhibitor right now, and they don't have control over mid. So CJ able just to walk up right there. No defense. KT had the angle onto the Baron, and there's the port coming.
Yep, that's right. Rek'Sai trying to come in from the side here.
Oh
They'll
my,
just
that
jump on
hook.
it immediately. That was a great hook for Mad Life, wrapping up score immediately after he came through. But Someday comes in with a big play on Gnar. Nice ultimate there as well. Have they locked them up long enough? It looks like they have. And KT manages to get CJ to group up and really take advantage of that with the Gnar.
Right. I actually am really surprised they managed to get into the back lines like that, but KT made it work, and Someday comes up big with the Gnar ult right there. He teleported in early before he had his ultimate, but the delay allowed KT to keep on rolling. That tower has actually been killed in the top lane, which means that this actually may be game.
Certainly
surprisingly.
I think they can burn through this inhibitor really quickly, and then they've got a long death timer with only the jungler and top laner up to finish this one off. If Ambition and Shy can stop this, this is going to be one of the most Herculean defenses we've ever seen.
Oh, they're going for it.
They're going to try. Shy popping all that AoE. There goes the first Nexus turret. Someday a little bit low. Arrow low as well.
Arrow's going to die.
They did get Arrow.
Naga's still up. They're going after score. Someday is low.
Yeah, that's right. And the Nexus going down. Nagne low as well. Can they
do it?
No!
My.
And KT manages to just barely squeak the win out there. That was a close one.
Wow.
CJ can't quite defend.
And I think one of the biggest keys to that right there, Doe, was that KT had a compositional advantage, and they actually managed to pull it out in the end and eliminate Coco thanks to Someday's ultimate coming in.
It was a great play by Gnar in the end. I mean, they kind of used score as bait to get CJ to collapse on him.
Yeah, and then they all just kind of got into that choke point right there, and Someday managed to finally get into those back lines after the score ultimate. It was a great hook by Mad Life. The instant he showed up out of that tunnel. Pretty impressive stuff, actually. We're watching it again on our screens. I'm sure you guys will see it again in a minute.
Yeah.
But Someday had a hop crunch directly onto the back line for a 3-man ultimate, and that really made all the difference right there.
Yeah, I mean, score was bait. He didn't actually need to do anything. All he needed to do was be there and get CJ to try to collapse on him.
Well, the thing about it was Score got there right as the stun was up, so was able to get a knock-up immediately after that, and the lockdown onto Coco was absolutely clutch. So Score and Someday with a good engage managed to make it work.
Yeah, and CJ, with their second game loss of the season, they can still come back and tie it up in game number 2, but KT, they should be pretty pleased with their first win of the season.
Yeah, given that game, though, considering that I feel that CJ didn't have the strongest draft and KT got a ridiculous number of power picks in the current meta, the fact that they actually almost managed to win that game is pretty surprising when you consider their deficit, when you consider that they had gone down by an absurd number of dragons. I'm actually quite impressed with CJ after that.
Well, CJ still looks really good despite that loss, absolutely. And we'll see what happens here. When we come back, game number 2 between KT and CJ. Guys, don't miss it.
IM은 서로 간의 시너지, 탄탄함을 위주로 운영을 할 생각으로 보이는데 이거는 IM 입장에서 분명 독이 될 수 있습니다. IM이 전력상 좀 앞선다고 생각하는 부분이 있어서 상대에게 좋은 픽을 그냥 좀 내주고 플레이하는 느낌도 저는 분명히 받았거든요. 피지 모르가나 배나면 뭐 할 거야. 근데 이거는 지금 삼성이 충분히 좋은 흐름을 만들 수 있는 픽을 많이 구성했다고 봐요.
한번 생각도 있겠죠. 자, 큐베 눈치 잘 봐야 됩니다. 자, 가르나의
이거는
한 번은
전멸이 있긴 하지만
네, 쫓아가서
과연?
이거 못 잡으면 무릎 꽂아요. 네, 터치점.
아이언 같은 경우는 그냥 바로 두 번째도 먹겠다는 생각이죠.
네.
마오카이까지 내려온 걸로
네.
봐서는.
자, 장난하면 찌리 끊기면. 자, 이러면 이거 작전 전개 가능한가요?
이런 플레이
대박인데요?
정말 좋았습니다.
네.
헤일.
자, 이거 한번 써주고요. 순간 이동으로 오죠.
11호 궁도 빠진
자,
상태예요.
이러면 삼성이 이거 포인트 하는 거죠. 아니야, 아직 안 끝나. 아직. 네.
강타 싸움
견제.
한번 하겠다라는
라인락이 달려듭니까? 하나 팀 먹었죠. 네, 머릿수가 안 됩니다.
손스타 위험. 네.
슬로우로 한번 흡수해주면서 더욱 빠졌어요.
네.
못 잡아.
네. 자, 윗섬.
글쎄.
계속 때려주면. 네, 이거 킬. 달려들고. 네.
이것도 상대편이 5명이거든요.
네.
괜히 또 무리하다가
11위는 빠져있는 상태입니다. 이거 괜히 리치만 해주면 안 되죠. 네, 결국. 네. 자,
근데 IM이
헤이를 띄우죠.
IM이 왜 이렇게 지나치게
네,
공격적이죠?
아이, 야, 잘 찼어요.
두 팀은 더더욱 이기고 싶은 두 팀이거든요.
네. 도시에 끊기나요? 급성 살았어요. 일단 살았어요.
너무 허무하게 보였는데요.
살긴 살았는데 급성 추가 싸움이고요. 자, 규메 국 썼고요.
근데 이후에 스킬.
자, 나름 잘 버텼습니다. 용 얼마 안 남았고. 달려듭니까? 빨리
제대로 걷어찼어요. 근데 용차 카사딘 케이틀린 다 한타 쓰러졌기
네.
드래곤만 먹고 다 죽을 수도 있어요.
퓨리 풀피. 라인락이 끊어줘야죠. 라인락이.
도전합니다.
네, 라인락. 남겨서.
저게 음파가 안 맞았어요.
싸움을 거나 손쓰다.
스타 일단 노려주는데 살았어요.
이런 타이밍.
네.
뒤쪽에 리산드라 탈진 걸려 있고요.
네. 자, 지금부터 시행되나요? 지금부터 시행되나요? 조냐 큐베.
그러면서
네. 가다니 지었죠. 가다니 지금.
11에 잡혔습니다.
네. 가다니.
퓨리도 프리디
가다니
카사딘도
불러줘. 일단 시행도.
삼성이 일단 한타 이겼네요.
네.
이동전을 활용해서 상대가 먼저 파고드는 상황이 안 나오니까.
일단 물었죠 라인락이. 자, 큐베 일단 궁으로 한번 넣히고요.
산드라 위치가 좋진 않아요.
네.
상대가 데미지 많이 입었고요.
네, 자 큐베 전사.
여기 있을
네. 창으로 네.
자, 헤일.
헤일로. 헤일이 진짜
도망가야죠. 도망가야죠.
걸렸죠.
카이 오거든요. 도망가야죠.
네.
인원을-
11까지.
네. 자, 블리츠는
리산드라를
버려야죠.
옵니다.
블리츠는 버려야죠. 네. 그리고 타워
이런 것도
자르반이 끊고요.
무력한데요.
네.
이게
자,
생각보다.
살려고.
네.
자, 블리츠 할 수 있습니까? 자, 일단 헤일로.
카이가 멀기는 멀어요 아직까지.
어리고 있죠.
잡아낼 수 있느냐가
네.
관건입니다.
쪽에서 11회가 뒤놓고 있어요. 11회가
그렇죠.
뒤놓고
근데
있습니다.
케이틀린이
서로
네.
바뀌라는
중간에
구도인데
택트를
꾸준 손스타가 계속 때리고 있어요.
이게 일단 11회가 살면 일단 11회가 살면
네.
안 됩니다.
네.
화끈하게 끝났네요.
네. 네. 끊기면서 지지.
And we are back on Champion Spring. The Game 1 MVP is Someday, and he really does deserve it too. He stole the dragon, and then he had that great ult at the very end of the game that really kind of sealed the deal for KT and got them their first win of the season.
Yeah, and KT had a very strong draft as we take a look at his ultimate, where he actually narrowly managed to pick up that dragon at the same time as a smite. Bit of a lucky boulder toss right there, and coming up against Coco as well, who was so damaging in the late game. And then here we go. This is the really big one. Look at his ult right here. This is fantastic positioning. Bouncing off of Ambition and getting the massive ult. Now watch Score come in Score come in as well on Rek'Sai and chain the CC together. There you go, 3-man chain. There's just no chance for Coco to do anything right here. And that engage is really what won KT this game.
Yeah.
If they hadn't had that perfectly, I think they would have lost. But they pulled it off. Absolutely gorgeous engage.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it really speaks to KT as well that they still have the ability to pull things like that off. They just need to get better about doing it regularly, you know?
And earlier. And being
maybe.
able to snowball properly, because that's, I mean, the fact that they nearly lost that game with so many power picks and their massive lead is disturbing. And I think if CJ can fix their draft phase, which I don't think it was going to be too difficult for them, they should be able to come back and take a win in this series overall. Only one game of a best of 3, and KT still looking shaky at best.
True enough. Well, as the coaches come into the booth, we turn our thoughts to game number 2. And whether or not CJ is going to be able to come back and tie things up, I would imagine they probably are. I think we're pretty comfortably headed to 3 games.
Yeah, KT, maybe this is just the start of their getting back into form, Doa, but
maybe it is. You know, we were saying kind of similar things when CJ beat SK Telecom for the first time, huh?
Well, here we go. Right back into picks and bans. CJ Entis on blue side this game, KT on red.
That's right.
And let's see what our first ban of the night is going to be. As CJ Entis mulls over their options, sticking with that Lissandra ban, same ban that they had on the red side last game, and Lulu.
Okay.
Also banned once more by KT first. So
same ban there too. There's that Rengar ban against Score. Of course. And so I wonder, you know, are we going to see the Gnar banned out possibly? It wouldn't be on blue side, I would imagine, but are they willing to first pick it if KT doesn't ban it away? Because you know they want to use it.
Right, and we saw that Rek'Sai come through his first pick for KT in the last game. Kassadin taken out this time.
Yeah.
By CJ. It was removed from the champion pool by KT last time.
That's
So
right.
a bit of a mix-up here in terms of the bans as KT thinks about what their first pick priority is going to be. Either, I mean, they have a choice to leave either Rek'Sai or Gnar up for themselves.
And what'll it be? They'll ban that Gnar. Okay, so not wanting to first pick that, giving themselves the opportunity to maybe go for Rek'Sai.
Shy really hasn't put a priority on Gnar so far this season. That hasn't been a crucial part of CJ Entis' drafting, which is a bit surprising considering that they have been focusing to a certain degree on these team fight compositions, and another big team fight team like the GE Tigers has been leaving that up. So Janna is up, and that will be at least hovered over. It was banned out last game by KT.
It would not be unwise, but at the same time, it does leave things like Rumble Jarvan up for KT if this Janna gets picked.
The thing about leaving Jarvan up is Shy has always been an outstanding Jace player, and we've seen that matchup go really sour for Rumble in the past.
Very true.
And that'll be it. Mad Life gets Janna this game. Will Score snatch away that Jarvan? Seems likely. They want to keep the Corki away from space as well, who did very well with that pickup. But, of course, the Sivir available, and CJ has played a lot of Sivir so far this season because they actually haven't been able to get Corki very much.
Yeah, and I mean, we've got the good old Sivir-Janna combo. I would be really surprised if we didn't see that get picked at some point. So now the question is, okay, so they will go with Rumble. All right, yeah, grabbing LeBlanc. This is looking good for CJ.
Yeah, another LeBlanc pickup for Coco. We've seen many bans targeted at him, and Nagne has wanted that champion as well, and apparently Coco prefers this matchup into Azir, and he did well at getting around the ultimate in the last game.
Wow, Sion for someday. Well, it's going to be an entertaining game again, that's for sure.
All right, good stuff. So going for that big-time tank, and I really do think that Someday plays best on these tanky top laners. That's kind of been his MO for years at this point.
Very true.
So he'll be playing that up against the Rumble, and now we round this out with a Lee Sin and a hyper carry Tristana. So that would give them a very smooth power curve.
True. Something
from the early game to the late game.
Something to eventually burn through that Sion as well if they need to, I suppose. But yeah, they're going to grab it.
Yeah, I like this
and
pickup.
Then thresh for Johnny.
I like this pickup. You've got good mid-game team fight potential with LeBlanc and Rumble, and you also scale really well into the late game with the Tristana and the Janna for the peel. So seems like a good composition for CJ Entis. KT, similar story though with the mid-game power of Corki, although this Azir and this Sion will take a while to ramp up, and they'll grab the Thresh.
Well, I wonder what CJ is going to be trying to get done in the early and mid game specifically. I feel like CJ just got mad last game. And now they're going to bring the pain. I don't know. That's just a vibe I get.
Well, they pretty much had everything going against them in the last game. They had losing matchups in their top and bottom lanes. They fell behind early. They lost a lot of early dragons, and even that they lost in draft as well in terms of the giving a lot of these power picks over. And now I feel like they're much more balanced this time in terms of compositions between these two teams. There's not a big advantage for KT like there was in the last game. They have a lot of mobility in order to deal with this Azir and carry potential late, as well as having that mid-game punch. So CJ and KT probably pretty even in terms of this draft, and then after that will be interesting. I'm a bit worried about Jarvan and Sion together on the same team because there's a possibility of Score kind of blocking Sion's ultimates.
That is always the threat, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be awkward, but that said, Someday is a great teleport flank player. He always has been, so probably going to be using that summoner spell in home guards in order to circumvent the Jarvan ultimate.
True enough. Well, here we go, guys. Game number 2. Can CJ tie it up, or will KT get their first match win of the season? Let's get in the game and find out.
Look at Someday run.
That's right. See how he runs. See, they should have had him just turn into Renekton at the end of it or something, and then proclaim that he's actually French. Well, here we go. CJ Entis versus KT Rolster. I gotta say, man, out of all the League of Legends clips I've seen over the years and stuff, the Renekton cosplay "I'm French" moment was probably the funniest thing because it's just so random. It's the last thing you'd expect.
It's the last thing you'd expect. There's Helios.
We know them. That's right. Hey, Helios. Shouldn't you be busy on another continent right now? I don't know. I don't know.
Shouldn't you be in NA, considering LCS is starting this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, I bet some people picked you for their fantasy team. I mean, one wonders.
Newsflash. Go on to fantasy right now and start finding yourself a sub-jungler.
Yep, I guess so. We have video evidence that he is not in North America right now.
I have an eyewitness account for you guys. I'm looking at him in the front row.
These poor North American teams try to keep things secret, and then their players just show up at Champions. They're like, well, guys, Piglet's right here. I mean, there's Helios. I don't know what to tell you. Can't blame us for that one.
KT fans looking for that first win of the season in the third match. KT's had such a brutal schedule, though, and I'm curious to see how they do when they play some of these more bottom-tier teams, because
I would think they'd probably win.
Yeah, probably, especially now that they are looking maybe a little bit better. But
against your Samsungs and your IMs, I would think I feel pretty comfortable putting CJ on top of putting a KT on top of those. Yeah.
So standard lanes this game, not too big of a surprise. Pretty even, I would expect. Kind of levels 1 through 5 between these two duo laners.
Yeah.
Not much of a threat. Should be mostly farming. And then KT should get an advantage at 6, while CJ tries to ramp into that late game. And we may see Space go static shift first as a result, just to counteract some of that quirky mid-game damage. Probably a good idea. Space actually getting grabbed a little bit.
Yeah, get
Played
flayed.
up.
But Mad Life's not afraid
He's not afraid.
of that. Oh my! Wow, I am. That was terrible, even for me. I'm gonna sit the next one out. Oh, Space. Oh, Arrow. Wow, Space comes back in, gets the first blood, and he may get a double kill right here as well too. Achani had no summoner, but he managed to get just back to turret. I feel like maybe they could have even grabbed that one.
Probably too risky. I mean, here's the
guess.
thing. You already have now an advantage in a scaling matchup.
Yeah,
that
you don't want to push it.
you now have a big power spike
You're right.
where you would normally have a power trough, so don't push that edge. Get the Corki, feel happy that you're going to get a big item first, and you're going to accelerate your build into that crazy Tristana hyper carry mode. I think that's a good idea, and now CJ Entis coming up big in terms of outplay ability.
Well, I think a big part of that is Mad Life is back, He's able to finally make those plays that set up his carries for early first bloods and things like that.
Oh, I like the fact that Space went back in right there. Also, Mad Life didn't even have to use his flash in that circumstance either, so yet another win.
Yep.
And that's going to be a pre-4-minute pickaxe for Space. That is not something you want to see. And they pushed it up, and instead of sticking around, Space translates that advantage into an item instantly. So they're really looking to maximize this little gift that they've been
Oh, and
given.
here we go. Nagne in a bit of trouble now as Ambition comes in. Mad Life waiting for that whirlwind, uses it right after the flash. That was so well coordinated. Man.
It was, and
Nagne had no chance to get out of that one.
even though
Zero.
Ambition missed his cue, they were still able to pick up that kill. So the crowd control coming in, the Tornado right on point, and Nagne too far up, burns his flash, still dies, holds on to his barrier, and Ambition picking
Well, I'm
up some of
pretty
that
sure.
CS. So let's take a look at what happened right here.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Hachani should not be walking forward after he misses a skill shot. He just doesn't have tools anymore in order to deal with this.
Yeah.
So that was actually more than anything a misplay by, I mean, it was a misplay by both players, but Hachani needs to back off if he can't land that death sentence. He just doesn't have, and he only had one more ability to use right there, and of course, CJ Ant is able to land everything after that.
And speaking of transitioning kills right into items too, well, Coco, he only got the assist, but he was able to come right back to lane with a Fiendish Codex. It's going to definitely give him an edge over Nagne with just those 2 Doran's rings.
Yeah, Azir having to do some triage on his build as well by getting that second Doran's ring and delaying everything else. So CJ really rolling already. This is a scary situation for KT to be in, and Sunday's not going to be able to do much before he gets some big items. And the problem is that this Tristana is big right now, so even if he starts getting an edge and building magic resist, CJ always has the option to swap that Tristana into the Scion lane and just beat him up, basically.
Yeah, more or less.
So not a good situation. No way for Someday to effectively deal with a split push off of just one core item. Big problems.
Well, we'll see what happens. Like I said at the beginning of this game, I think CJ's just got mad. Now they're like, all right,
You won't like CJ when they're angry.
that's right. You think Meganar is bad. Wait till you see the whole team hulking out.
All right. Mad Life again just doing a great job putting increasing pressure on Azir right here. Constantly threatening the gank and clearing out those wards in space. Feeling quite comfortable on his own considering he has a pickaxe advantage. Arrowhead didn't buy anything when he went back and died, at least no combat items.
Yep.
Pots only, so Space just king of the lane right now, able to eliminate a lot of that threat in a 1v2, and this is freeing Mad Life up in a big way to go out and make plays on the map. And that's scary if you're Nagne, because you have no flash. So there we go, Ambition. Triggers his Raptor buff.
Q's under Rift Sculler, oh well.
Or Rift Scuttler. Just always fleeing, slightly too slow.
If you look at its face too, it just looks so sad and hopeless.
Well, it is. There is no hope when you can't fight Doa.
It's true.
Not in Summoner's Rift.
That's
The
right.
land of death.
The land of death, the rift of death.
Okay, well, Score just farming out. Now that they have pressure in the top side on his opponent's side of the map, and a lot of deep wards going in. Ambition gets seen by that Wolf Spirit, however, Score will be able to escape with the Gromp. No blue buff control for him, though,
No.
as that'll simply be handed off. Shy up in CS in this top side. Someday coming back with this Spectral Cowl, though, so trying to deal with this magic penetration as best he can. And look at how much damage has gone down onto that bottom side turret already. Space just mercilessly pushing up.
Well, this is just so good to see. It's so good to see, you know, Mad Life and his AD carry able to make such a big difference in the 2v2. We just haven't seen this from CJ in a long time.
It's just a really mysterious play by KT.
Yeah.
Why you would walk up so aggressively when you're pushed into your opponent's turret after missing your death sentence. Not
I don't know.
the smartest plan.
Sometimes, you know, you throw out that death sentence, you just want to make something happen. You're like, all right, I missed that one, but I know if I can flay him, it'll be perfect. And then it never is.
Just a little zoning tornado right there.
Yep.
Space playing aggressively, not too concerned about the death sentence apparently, and Score will be seen in his own jungle right now. He's vulnerable to a play here from Mad Life in Space. They can just walk in there at the moment.
We'll see if
They have no wards in the river, so actually CJ not being as aggressive as they could be, but without Coco in the mid lane, it does make it a little more difficult. So using that recall timing, KT is able to get the blue buff onto Nagne unharassed.
Well, it's big for Nagne as well, too. He needs some time to farm, and he is getting it now. Fast Morello Nomicon, though, from Coco. Of course, want to get that damage boost as soon as possible.
Yeah, but the Chalice, so a little bit of MR at least.
Yeah.
Nagne still taking the worst end of one of those trades, but
Oh, yeah.
a little less vulnerable to the ult. And Mad Life
Oh,
actually
here we
gets
go.
caught out right now.
Oh,
There's
Chani.
the ult.
Yeah, with Chani with a play on Mad Life, Arrow comes over the wall, and can he finish him off? He
Space
can.
is here.
That's right. Can they turn this one now? Nagne comes back over the wall. CJ getting pushed away. Oh, Coco. A lot of damage onto Nagne.
Wow,
And
delayed reaction there actually from the rest of CJ. Space still in lane, Coco still in lane.
Yeah.
And they didn't have enough pressure, I think, to be going that deep. So Mad Life will pay for it with his life and help KT pull within 1,000 gold at the moment. Looks like they're not going to be able to turn this into an objective, though, as they can't do anything about space. I mean, Arrow has yet to get
Ooh.
items. Nagne
Oh,
gets
boy.
rooted and has to go back. Achani there in the nick of time, and
nice
Coco
death
gets
sentence.
grabbed.
Coco has to flash. That was a good turnaround from KT. Achani, you know, for the mistake he made early on in lane, he certainly made up for it, I feel, with that pick on Mad Life and then also forcing the flash out of Coco just now.
Yeah, definitely some superior roaming play.
Yeah.
Mad Life wanders back towards the bottom side of the map. And Arrow got a kill there as well, so that'll help him out significantly in terms of getting back into this one, but still a little bit behind in terms of CS, and he hasn't been able to translate any of his gold into items so far, and he can't either because the instant he leaves this lane, the tower goes down. So CJ in a very good situation at the moment. You can see nearly 3,000
Wow.
gold for Arrow, unable to convert due to pressure.
Yep.
And nothing really that they've done has been able to take that away. Score has decided to play the top side of the map instead and help someday get into a CS lead after being down early himself and put pressure onto Shy, but it's just not as effective so far. That tower just hanging by a thread at the moment.
Well, it seems like what CJ needs to do here is take down that tower to get Hachani and Arrow to recall and then take a dragon off of that.
Well, you know,
See
honestly,
if they can.
what I would do, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that if Arrow leaves, you go for the dragon because you'll still have pressure on the bottom side if you
Yeah.
recall afterwards. So don't go for the tower immediately. Move for the dragon instead. Oh man, he's gonna lose it anyway. Can't quite hold on to it. Space with the shield from Janna able to tank it out.
Yeah, and now CJ gripping up around that bottom jungle for KT. Arrow still hasn't gone back yet, though.
He's got to at some point.
Yeah.
He just is living at a
Whoa.
disadvantage perpetually. Ambition Going to hop out of the box right there from Hachani without breaking the plane.
They just got the ult out of Thresh as well, too. I don't know. Are you surprised CJ is not going for a dragon?
No, because right now they have a chance to go back, and if they see Corki recall, then they'll immediately go for dragon with the item advantage. If they don't see Corki recall, well, Corki still has a Doran's Blade, and then they still have the advantage.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I see.
Score is getting some nice wards in around the pit, so they'll be able to see if they're doing it.
Well, Arrow did just recall, bought nearly all the pieces he needed for his Trinity Force.
Okay, good. I like the Shiv first on space. This is a safe build. Don't go for the big plays. Go for the pressure plays immediately and just scale into that late game. Try and counteract Corki's power spike. Not going to be able to team fight as well, but certainly going to put Corki on his back foot. And here we go, coming around the side. Oh, my.
Oh, wow. Really? Oh, space. Oh, no, there's a play. Gets on the death sentence. Wow. Somebody cue Yakety Sax.
And Hachani taking a bunch of damage out of that as well. Mad Life.
Oh,
oh, my.
Space. You playmaker, you. Bobby didn't get the kill. Space, you almost playmaker, you.
Yeah, but can they get the dragon out of it? It will be well worth it to use that flash if they can pull that one out. Nagne just getting chunked out.
Look at that. A ton of damage onto him. Nagne a little bit of trouble. Coco has not used his. There he burns the Ignite. And Nagne just kind of let that happen. Meanwhile, CJ takes the dragon. Well, that went well for CJ.
It certainly did. An intelligent use of that flash, even if he didn't get that kill, got the Thresh low enough to guarantee a recall and safely take that dragon. CJ still looking poised. And they're really, really starting to get ahead, and I would be worried if I was KT, because your ability to come back in this game is not so great. And you may just get bowled over in the mid game right now, especially because Shy's Rumble hasn't even come into play yet, but that is going to be quite devastating. They're trying to make a play on top side right now.
They're making plays on both parts of the map. Arrow in a lot of trouble here. CJ's going to get a kill there. Meanwhile, on top side, the gank successful for KT. But CJ, though, manages to get this tier 2 turret, though.
Going down so quickly, and they can keep on pushing, too. Someday still in the top side. Recalls coming in from KT.
Wow, CJ not wasting any time at all in this game to put the hurt onto KT Rolster.
Big, big win right there. And will this tower even go down? I mean, someday there's a teleport up for Shy. It's not going to go down. He comes up in 2 seconds, and so 1 for 1, but tier 2 now down. What is this Corki going to do? And Space still all over the map.
Space, what is he going to do? Rocket jumps away at the last moment.
Hachani, I feel, has been playing around the rocket jump incorrectly. He's not waiting for it. And the first time, too, when they tried to catch Space in the try, he flayed initially. I think it's better. Well, it's hard to say what's better to do, but he missed the death sentence on the rocket jump.
You know, I think what's more important, honestly, is that his boxes have just not been good. I mean, he's been using them, trying to catch champions that have good ways to get out of that. And, you know, it seems like he's sort of trying to pair it with Flay, because you can Flay people into the wall of the box, but he just hasn't been hitting those timings, and so he's been losing that relatively long cooldown ult for really nothing the last 2 times he's used it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Johnny's mechanics and his forethought on some of these abilities not looking top tier today.
Yeah.
Missing some chance to deal with things with Safeguard, as well as that rocket jump where he may have been able to get some of these champions out of that mobility and not coming through. Someday will get this tower right now, but even so, that's a pretty nice delay for CJ to hold that off for a little bit longer. And Tristana continues to ramp up right here, getting the BF sword. I'm really impressed with Space's build this game. I love what he did with that early pickaxe into the Shiv, gave him the lane bullying power, got that tower down, and then right when Corki was hitting that Trinity Force power spike after being down early, immediately gets the wave clear item, says, I don't need to go for the Infinity Edge first, even though I have this part of the component. This component has done enough, has given me so much value already, and now I'm going to play this out right. And someday, like a coward, fleeing back to his turret.
Yep.
Sion, the brave general, not so brave. Hachani.
Oh, man. Coco's going to come and finish this one off. Maybe. someday.
Yeah, nearly dying right there. Coco not actually using the Ignite. That was a good calculation, actually, by Coco right there, because with the shield from the Dark Passage, I think Thresh would have actually survived that.
Yeah,
So not wasting that Ignite.
full sniff either way, that it wasn't worth the risk.
Yeah, just force the recall. Get that pressure on the map.
Yep.
Now that KT's a man down.
True enough. Coco getting a decent amount of damage to this turret. And wow, they're going to get the tier 1 on the top lane as well.
Yeah, one for
lose.
one, but
Yeah.
maybe difficult for KT to hold this. Achani joining Someday up into the top side. Someday doesn't have his ult right now to engage or force the issue. Wave clear still coming in. Shy continues to farm and not much else actually in this bottom side. He's actually gone for a Leandry's first, a pretty uncommon build onto Rumble.
Seems pretty bold, huh? Also get the damage in, I guess.
I guess. I mean, we'll see how that pays off for him during the dragon fight that's coming up.
Yep. About a minute and a half.
Oh,
until
Ambition taking that one with the smite.
Oh, and Achani taking a lot of damage from Space as well. Rocket jump away. Coco manages to help Space pick that one up. Yeah, CJ is just all over KT this game.
Yeah, really, KT got outplayed early, and CJ is doing a very good job of snowballing that first blood into major wins. Look at this, they've nearly got the outer turrets down. And this is because of that advantage, because they were able to get that tower down so early with that pickaxe, so early with that pressure. They've chained it into nearly two other towers at the moment. Well, 3 others, because they got the tier 2 in the bottom as well. And they've just been comprehensively out-rotating KT on the map. And this is just such a beautiful example of how to take a small lead and turn it into a big one.
I love seeing the third item Majai is on Mad Life as well, too.
Going for
I think it's
the big plays.
Yeah, it's I mean, it certainly benefits your utility abilities as well, too, having that AP. I think it's a great item.
Coco just distorted in place right there. Oops.
That happens sometimes. I'll pretend I didn't see it. Actually, I don't need to pretend because I didn't see it.
Oh, are they
It's
actually
fine.
going to lose the ward? No, they're doing a good job of defending it. Someday with that Banshee's Veil does make it a little bit more difficult. And
Nice
play.
poke on the arrow.
Nearly trapping LeBlanc in there. They do lose the pink ward. Shy not quite there in time. Has teleported into the mid lane. Mad Life poked out a little bit by this Azir. Can they make another play? Another pink ward goes into the river as they advance their ward line.
Achani, he's ready. Oh, he misses a death sentence. So Ambition kicks. Wow, they kick score right back in there. And CJ, Space pushing away arrow really easily. And now CJ has all the position they want around the dragon. Can KT stop this? I don't know. Oh, Coco over the wall tries to put some hurt onto Nagne. Nagne pops the ult, doesn't really do a whole lot. Mad Life with the double knockup onto Johnny and Someday. Someday not really being a part of this team fight at all. And Space trying to get these resets now. Whoa, everybody fleeing from the fight. Ambition goes way deep, but Space not quite done yet. Looks like he won't quite be able to reach people unless he rocket jumps right now, but they'll be happy taking this mid lane turret after they cause Someday to run away again.
Yeah, Someday's so tanky right there, but it was a good Azir ult, but it was in reaction to Shy getting an equalizer onto the back line.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, CJ just punishing every little move so hard. They were zoning out Dragon while trying to take enemy blue buff at the same time. CJ's objective control has just been great. Now they had to join the fight before they got that blue buff, but it just makes it so difficult for KT to react appropriately, and they can't really fight on 2 fronts with their composition. And this setup, too, was excellent. Ambition pulling off the insect. All Score could do is get an ult down, but Coco just distorts right out of that one. Now watch this. They try and take the blue buff and hand it over to Coco. Meanwhile, Shy, Ambition, and Mad Life threatening around that dragon. So you see Shy's like, okay, I'm just going to ult right in this choke right there. You can't escape, so Nagne has to pop Emperor's Divide. Shy gets hooked, but is able to flash out of it. And Coco is just bursting so hard right now. And now this is a good escape, too. Nagne, oh, actually, that was a blowback from Space.
Yeah.
So a bit of a mistake right there. I thought that he jumped to one of his soldiers.
Me
but
too, that's
nope.
what I thought initially as well.
That was a Buster shot gone wrong.
Oh, well. Got a little bit too excited. Either way, though, CJ it's kind of like, yeah, all right, we were messing around and picked some bans for game 1, but now it's time to get serious.
Wow, I'm very impressed with how clean CJ's play has been in this game, and Space now with the Infinity Edge, so becoming a very early threat to have both the Infinity Edge and the Static Shiv in this one. 3-0 and 2 so far.
You know, part of all this too is that Space hasn't really been, you know, getting quadra kills and stuff like that in the fight. So ambition, grab, to be able to get away. But he's been doing enough damage to just push everyone away.
And the one upshot now for KT is that Someday is pretty big, and he has 2 core items, which means he's going to be able to mitigate damage from both LeBlanc and from Tristana.
Yeah.
So he's going to have a hell of a game for KT to come back into this one.
Definitely true. Well,
but nobody's going to be able to kill him before they get armor and magic pen either. So it will be, I think, a little bit of a standstill right here. As far as at least killing Scion goes, everybody else is fair game, however, for Space and Coco.
yeah. CJ has shown they don't even need to really worry about killing Scion at this point.
No, he's also not a damage threat, so as long as they leave him alone, and they can split push really well, so why deal with him?
True. A little bit of damage onto that tier 2 turret. And will they be able to follow this up with anything? Not at the moment, it looks like.
Don't play it too risky. Fall back, keep farming, keep snowballing your advantage.
Yeah.
No need to do anything. Coco not going in on side. There's nothing really he could do onto Someday right now.
Yeah.
Just needs to clear that wave out and reverse the pressure in that direction. Shy slowly, ever so slowly, building into that Zhonya's Hourglass, which he'll need to survive some of the poke in the front lines. So that'll be quite useful when he gets that item. I think the Leandry's first was a weird buy, but considering that they have no tank on CJ, I think it's more important for him just to go haunting guys into Zhonya's instead of building out that Leandry, especially because Someday is the only big HP target early in the game.
Well, so far so good. Yeah, Coco's not doing a whole lot of damage to Scion at this point.
Scion with that shield as well. Going to be
Yeah.
a problem to deal with for the carries until, like I said, they get that last whisper, they get that void staff, and it'll start to turn around a little bit. But Someday keeps on farming, and a farm Scion is really, really difficult to kill.
Very true. Well, CJ has the edge, and so far they've been turning it into a lot of objectives and things like that, but now we've kind of reached the next phase, you know. Now it's time to get all the lanes pushed up and get ready for that next dragon. KT, I mean, they just look so afraid right now. What can they do, you know?
Yeah, what can they do?
Yeah.
The threat of this Tristana and this LeBlanc is deadly to almost everybody on their team.
Yeah.
So they have to play very reserved if they want any chance to get back into this one. They're basically praying that at some point in the team fight, a lot of cooldowns will be used onto Someday, and that he will get that big engage that they need to make their hopes in this game stick around. There we go. Another Sun Disc or Stargate, I don't know what you
Disc
call
of
it.
the Sun.
Disc of the Sun. With this skin, it's not very sunny though.
Those really aren't as Stargate-y, though. Those things. Oh, Ambition gets caught. Oh, he managed to pull Hachani back with him. Hachani gets kicked out. CJ very grouped up, though. A lot of CC being labeled on. There we go. Nice ult from Mad Life, and the kills from CJ start coming in. And again, Someday just not really making a big difference, not doing any damage, and so largely ignored. Arrow gets really low before he gets away.
And
now they can focus on Someday. They're like, all right, we got time.
Well, it takes so long to kill him, though. Score not able to do anything. Finally, he goes down.
Run away. Oh, space.
Trying to jump over the wall right there. Does
Yeah.
get over to that blue buff. Ambition trying to prevent him, and he actually saves the pink ward.
That is some forward thinking right there.
Well, there's really not much KT can do, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Tristana is way too far ahead, and you can see that even though they got a very preferable engage with a man advantage, Space just able to hard carry that team fight.
Yep, and another easy dragon for CJ Entis.
That'll put them at their third this game.
Yep.
So starting to run away right here. Space going to be donated the red buff at the same time. And he'll be back, and we'll see what he picks up. I mean, it's a good hook by Hachani. They do poke him out, and I mean, Space has to rocket jump backwards, but Hachani just gets absolutely chunked out. Space again, very aggressive flash, and now Nagne caught on the wrong side after hopping over the wall onto his soldiers, melts to Space, and Coco intelligently zoning out Arrow right there. Now there's the follow-up onto Someday, who is tanky as hell, but when you're all alone.
When you're Scion all alone in the great big
right.
world.
When you're in space, no one can hear you scream.
When space is on you, no one can hear you scream. Jumping on you, Tristana.
Well, CJ.
Oh, Space doing another good bit of damage as Equalizer throws people down.
Oh man, Space
Abyss
is
over the
just
top.
so crazy with these jump-ins.
This is like the brand new Space, man.
Wow, I've been really impressed with his calculated level of aggression. And
When did he get this good? How did this happen?
It's the big mystery. We'll never have an answer, Doa.
Well, we do know that Space is filled with mystery.
It is.
It's appropriate. They come over the wall, they try to get you Ambition. Space again comes in. There's a kill on the score very easily now. It's Reset Fever. Oh, but Ambition breaks that one up. Coco manages to grab one as well. And what a guy. Space spreading the killing blows around.
What a kind-hearted soul.
So-
Someday
So poor.
standing
Someday.
there, unkillable, but also unable to get the kills. You know,
Yeah.
as somebody pointed out to me on Twitter today,
What's that?
in space, when things get rolling, nothing can stop them.
That's true.
They just keep rolling
There's no friction.
until they hit something.
That's right.
And they really haven't hit anything yet. Space just rolling through these top-tier Korean teams left and right.
Yeah.
And now a massive advantage for CJ.
The lonely world of Someday. At least I've got my minions to keep me company.
At least I can split push, guys.
That's right. Until I have to use my ult to run away again. He's pretty much only used his ult to run away this game.
This is, I mean, as one-sided as this game is, it really is a fantastic example of how to snowball off of a first blood.
Yeah, no kidding.
Pretty
I mean-
crazy what CJ has been able to accomplish and how precise their shot calling and their rotations have been in order to punish that first blood in the maximum way possible. It's hard to imagine how KT could have been more punished for that first blood than watching this game.
It really does remind me of the old CJ Frost, you know? Able to make those early plays 2v2, able to capitalize on that, have really good team fighting. You could draw some similarities between Woong and Space, I suppose.
Well, I think Space looking a lot better than Woong did at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's just a zoning ult right there trying to take the... Oh my!
Wow.
Space!
Buster shotting people away, though. They just want that inhibitor. It's all about the objective. Space will take a kill or two, though. How about a double?
Wow,
Make it a
Space
double.
has just gone full man mode this game, just jumping in at every possible opportunity. And there's just
Spaceman.
no punishment.
It's true. It's great. He's gone from, in terms of like denizens of space, he's gone from like Alf to Predator. Whoa, Coco.
My.
Jeez. All right, this one's over.
Wow, CJ. And they're not over-committing either, because you notice they keep making these picks, but nobody on CJ ever dies. It's
No.
17-2 in this game.
Because they're not going too far with it. You know, they're getting what they can.
This is like the perfect amount of aggression to close that we're seeing
really is.
from CJ. What a fantastic game from them as a team.
Well, and games like this really do make you, wow, look at that. Well, games like this really do make you think that CJ needs to be in the conversation for top teams in Korea right now.
Well, absolutely.
Nobody can doubt that after seeing something like this.
Dominant game from them after a near comeback in game one.
Wow.
So looks like we'll be going the distance in this one, Doa.
I guess so, yeah. Game number 3 on the way. CJ, wow, the big team fight at the very end, and it's all playtime now for Space and Go. Oh, Space, no, don't die. Got away just in time. And there it is, GG. So CJ ties things up in style. And how about space?
10-0-6.
I can't believe it.
100 CS up in that game.
I can't believe it.
And that's because of how hard he punished that first blood, going back, getting the pickaxe, transitioning into Shiv, countering the mid-game of Corki, taking down one turret, immediately going and removing the outer ring.
Yeah.
What a beautiful snowball game from CJ Entis. On point. Incredibly on point.
I have to say, man, I mean, CJ's back, Mad Life is back, Space is here. Ambition is
Doing
apparently
well.
a good jungler now, yeah.
Doing very well. And
The CJ team starting to look really scary.
yeah, Coco as well had a couple of games where he's had major impact and created crucial picks or chunking people out right around objectives and making some very nice plays himself.
Very nice. Well, there we go, all tied up. I'm in love with the Coco.
I think everybody is right now.
That's right.
Fantastic play from CJ Entis, and we'll see if they can close this out or whether KT can come back and win another one in the third set of the night and take home their first victory, or whether CJ can continue undefeated and top the rankings alongside the GE Tigers.
Yeah. I'd say at this point it's looking pretty unlikely, but you never know. I mean, CJ had a bad pick ban in game number 1. It could happen again. They really do need to make sure that that part of the game is just as good as the rest of it.
And there we go. We'll see if Coco gets that LeBlanc again. Maybe a good ban at this point.
Yep, I would
Or
say
an
so.
early pick from KT.
We will be back, guys. Don't go anywhere. The final game of the night on Champions Spring coming up right after this.
예, IM 같은 경우 일단 전 세트와 조합 느낌이 크게 다르진 않은 것 같습니다. 다만 뭐 탑에서 이제 마오카이 카사딘이 이제 바뀌어서 약간 더 공격적으로 치고 들어갈 여진인데, 언제나 이제 룰루잔나 같은 챔프가 있기 때문에 뭐 지키면서 싸우는데 굉장히 좀 싸움이 지속전으로 갈수록 굉장히 좋을 것 같고요. 삼성 같은 경우가 이제 조금 더 공격적이라고 볼 수 있겠죠. 전반적으로 같이 좀 파고들면서 공격적인 챔프들이 많이 포진되어 있습니다.
그렇습니다. 네.
위험할 수도 있습니다. 이거.
자, 라일락이 여기서 지금도 위험한데요, 위치가.
이거는, 예,
네.
이거는 뭐
살 수가
네.
없죠.
네.
그냥 전면 안 쓰고 죽는 게 나을 것
버티기
같습니다.
버티기 요리조리 버티기.
전면 아니 전면 안 쓰고 죽는 게 나을 것 같았는데요.
네.
이것도
네.
위험해 보이는데요.
여기
오,
비싼 데까지
야.
와요. 자 투신까지.
전면은
요리
제대로 풀어주는 것 같은데요.
잠깐만 블리스가. 네. 우리는 간다 갱을 3명씩.
근데 소모까지 조금 있었습니다.
네.
전면까지 써야만 했어요.
용까지 바로 안 가져갈 이유가 없죠.
뭐 주도권 잡았다 이게.
네, 서로 다 퍼져 있는데요.
삼성 운영 로밍 성공시키더니 아주 매끄럽게 잘 완성시켜가고 있거든요.
네.
완벽하죠?
그렇죠.
리킬의 드래곤의 탑타 위험하지 않은 바텀 주도권 잡았음. EDCS 약간 부족하지만 상대가 룰루라 부담 안 됨.
우리의 아쉬움이 남는데.
야, 먼저 누가요? 먼저 누가?
네, 오. 자 여기서. 자, 네.
야,
빗장을
이걸
잡아주니까
잡을 만하죠,
빗장을.
그렇죠?
대단. 와 리신. 요 그냥 줄 겁니까 삼성?
순간이동.
네. 저지. 자 라일락 또 옵니다.
지금 위치가 너무 애매했고요. 지금.
네.
하지만 추가적으로 한번 해보면
자 4대5 4대5 4대5인데요.
이게 한 번 안 됐고 받아쳤는데 이거
네,
다시
2라운드
그래도
2라운드
가는 것
2라운드.
같다.
자 폭딜로.
네.
연비
장각이
투칸.
유효한다. 이퀄라이저.
용 먹고요.
추가 싸움이
살아가는 게.
되나요?
레이스 다 빠졌어요. 블루까지 되십니까?
위험합니다.
네. 한명 전사. 블리스가 죽었어요 지금. 리스탄이 죽었습니다. 핵심 딜러 죽었어요.
이러면 다 뺏기겠네요.
네,
블루도
블루까지.
스레시가 들어갔었던 이유는 약간 뭐 HP라도 좀 뭐 어떻게 스킬업을 빼놓자 이런 생각을 했었던 것 같은데 그게 다 회복이 됐고 아무런 의미가 없게 됐어요.
네. 용. 용 먹죠. 2대1.
좀 무시한 체력이나 뭐 여러 가지 챔피언들 체력이 좀 부족하다고 느껴서 어쩔 수 없다고 판단했네요.
미드는
오히려
어디로 순간이동.
근데 라일락이 약간
오히려
네. 나 반대로 네. 탑들 다 죽었습니다. 진짜 완전 당황했을
지리
것 같아.
자체는 잘했고요.
네. 자, 쌈 볼까요?
이제 루시안이 프리딜이기는
네.
한데요.
2부 살았어요. 네, 2부 달고 추격.
그러면서
오히려 추격. 네. 프로즌. 스피디의 프로즌.
그래서
네. 여기는 웨이스 전사 3대2. 네, 끝까지 간다.
갑니다.
추격 끝까지 간다.
있어.
그쪽 아니야. 그쪽 왼쪽이야.
네.
왼쪽.
2분의 1에서 잘못 선택했습니다.
그렇습니다.
3점 우리가 잡아야
자 만나나요?
그래서 위치 잘
이런 거
만나 진짜.
네. 그러면서
네.
네. 한번. 자, 아직. 잘한다. 있어. 리산드가 녹으면 어떡합니까?
정말
네.
현명한 기창이었죠. 얘.
네. 바로 얘를요?
선택은 얘 조금 제고해서
네.
얘 최대한 낚시.
아, 그렇죠. 궁금하겠지. 아직 그러면 누가 뭐 하나 던져봐야죠. 쫓아가서.
정면까지 쓰면서.
네, 2부만 잡아주면. 네.
아사가
네. 와, 본인도
힘의
땅,
파동.
와, 본인도 땅을 칩니다. 테이블 쳤고요. 이러면 바로 요 퍼펙트한 분위기죠.
그렇죠. IM이 뭐 완벽하게 지금 승기를 잡고 있네.
네. 자, 그러면 정리해서 리시는 또 이제 살아나겠습니다. 한번 봅니까?
그래도 이대로 짚어내면 안 된다라고
네.
판단하는 것 같아요.
체력은 좋을 거
그냥
아니에요.
한타를 열자. 한타를
체력은
열자.
좋을 거 아니에요. 그리고
먹었어요.
욕 먹고 하나 주고 다
네.
빠지기. 한번
더 잡아야 되는데.
다 빠지기.
더 잡아야
다
되는데.
빠지기.
이거 회오리가 정말 눈앞을 가로막고
네.
네. 걷어내는 것조차 손해 없이 어려움을
하지만 선수가 안 죽었어요.
잘 빠져나왔고요.
표시는 죽었습니다만.
아 잤나?
네.
이 말이 또 나올 것 같거든요. 예.
혼자 죽었습니다.
네.
대신
자신이 죽었으면 이건 진짜 최고의 플레이인 거예요.
네. 외함이에요. 솔직히 외함이에요. 외함.
IM은 굉장히 편해요 지금.
오, 맞죠? 잡으면
이리신.
네.
레이스가 죽었고요. 데미지가
그래도
앞쪽에서
네, 라일락이 네, 자, 프리스 좋았어요. 자, 프리스 나중에 좋았어요.
뽕뽕 쏴냅니다. 손스타가.
아, 거대 코르키. 일로 와. 잤는데 날차. 에이스 끝나네요. 네. 끝낼 때도 확실히 끝내는 게 IM입니다.
뻥 뚫리는 느낌을 씌워줄까 싶었는데 이겼습니다. 완승 거둬요.
지지.
All right, guys, we are back on Champion Spring, and Coco gets the MVP for game number 2.
I mean,
I would have given it to Space.
I would have given it to Space too.
Yeah.
I think that Space getting that kill in the early game was really what allowed them to start that snowball. Not to say that Coco wasn't good, he was great.
Yeah,
But I think MVP of that game probably should have been Space.
poor Space. Finally good after like 2 years and still can't get that MVP award.
And yeah, this is a good kill. He had Coco in both of the games tonight. He's had some solid solo kills onto Nagne and had some very good picks as well. But in the end, I think it was Space's domination of the map and getting that first blood that really got CJ rolling into a place where they could get a lot of stuff done. Coco with a nice kill onto Arrow right there, though, and Space jumping forward on that Tristana. And look at this, is just beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
Getting onto Nagne. Nagne can't even escape.
Boom.
As the chain tracks him as he dashes back to the soldier.
These chains are pretty scary. Coco's very scary. And there's a picture of Coco. It's not very scary, it just looks good.
And he was the MVP, so good drawing of Coco with your MVP poster.
Wow, she predicted the future. That's amazing.
She did indeed.
Or she's the one who picks all the MVPs.
Oh, the secrets are out,
Oh
Doa.
my gosh. That's right.
Well,
Conspiracy.
Nagne having a rough time in the mid lane tonight. KT still looking for that elusive first win of the season, and
Yep.
both of these teams having identical schedules so far. Nowgen, SK Telecom, and then playing each other. Difference is that CJ is 2-0 and KT is 0-2, but at least for both of these teams, they can look forward to a softer schedule moving forward, while it seemed like the GE Tigers it's an
True.
uphill battle
It's a real
from
test.
this point out.
A real test for the GE Tigers for the next part of the season, no doubt. Well, guys, it's time. Game number 3, CJ versus KT. Let's get into picks and bans. Lulu.
Lulu will be taken out once again.
Lysandra. So
It's
same
been
bans.
it's been the first ban for KT this entire series tonight. Same thing with CJ, so not deviating too much from their previous plan. KT looks like they're going back to their same ban from the first game, in which they banned Lulu Jana on that blue side.
Trying to give themselves a chance to possibly pick up that Rek'Sai again.
So will CJ ban Rengar is the question, which has been their second ban in both these games, and no, it will be Rek'Sai instead.
Okay.
Are they going to give up the Gnar this time, though? They did leave Gnar open, and it was
true.
actually picked in the last round of the draft for KT. They snagged it in their third round of the draft. That was a very late Gnar pick.
You know, with Lulu already banned out, I'd be more inclined to let the Rengar go through, since we've seen Rengar mostly used in those kind of speed Rengar attack comps. What do you think?
Well, I think Score has been dangerous on it without that, whereas
True.
teams like CJ and Jinair have been more relying on comboing it with that speed.
But would you rather play against the Gnar or the Rengar?
Well, for KT, from their perspective, they can first pick Gnar if it's still up, and it is. LeBlanc is taken out, which is what I thought we might see go down, and Kassadin banned again as well. This time
KT just going to take the Jarvan.
on the red side, and Jarvan the priority pickup right here. Bit interesting. So they could, I mean, the thing that works in KT's favor is Shy does not appear to play Gnar. But for the first time he might. Really, CJ has very much de-emphasized that pick. It's been very low on their priority list so far this season, unlike seemingly every other team in this league.
Yeah. And we've seen that playing Gnar, you know, needs a very specific type of coordination in a team, and if you don't have it, you're not going to be playing Gnar.
I think you should take it, not take the Rumble pickup again. We did see,
Preferably not the Shen. We'll see.
going back to the old school style, although normally when Shy was playing with Shen on his team, it was Templar playing it, not him. Templar playing it in the jungle back in the old days.
It's true.
Rumble and Jace.
All right.
So without that LeBlanc in the pool this time, nope, switching over to Corki at the last second. And that'll go over to Space one more time.
Wow, I think the Gnar is going to be an easy choice now for KT. The question is, what are they going to bring with it?
I've got very strong engage picking that Jarvan. I think this is smart of KT. Grab that Jarvan first because it's a contested pick, And then you can get the Gnar combo with the Cataclysm right afterwards. So they'll lock that in. I like what we're seeing here. Realistically, though, they actually didn't have to pick Gnar right there, and I think it might have been better for them to go after maybe a higher priority. Well, I suppose they got the support. They've already seen the Corki come in, and they already have a jungler, so there's not actually much they could have done there besides take the Gnar. I take it back. And so that will be the Jace lock-in that they showed in the first round of the draft from CJ Entus. They take it in the second round instead. They blind pick the mid lane, but Coco has played Jace 2 times already this season.
Yeah, I wouldn't be too worried about it.
And that's a massive mid-game power spike between Corki and Jace and Rumble. I mean, the mid-game siege on this composition, they'll be able to push people off so fast with missiles, shock blast, and the equalizer.
Yeah. Well, it looks like it's going to be Sivir and Syndra.
Yeah, right now they need more engage to stop this composition from operating properly. I think they're pretty much forced to take Sivir right here. Or Tristana, something that can... I think the Sivir's better.
I mean,
because the kiting from CJ is going to be pretty brutal.
Yeah, the Tristana doesn't really seem to protect them against that mid game, does it?
And also, they could hope to bully out that Corki again, although they have the Ahri to engage as well. So if they can get a Cataclysm, they can follow up with Dark Binding and maybe a Charm and start getting the resets off that Tristana. So it's not terrible, but I still think the Sivir would have been stronger there. But, of course, Tristana not going to be bullied around by Corki in the lane either, so you do have more scaling into the late game. And KT, just in their compositions, hasn't had that big late game carry potential, really. So maybe this will help balance out some of their subpar shot calling in the late game if they can make it there.
Yeah. Well, Mad Life, thinking about taking this Nami. That wouldn't be the worst idea.
It's great
for
the disengage. It's a really good pick.
Certainly pairs well with a lot of the other things on the team.
Yeah, without Janna there and seeing the Morgana, you take the Nami for the tidal wave. So it's actually a poke comp coming in from CJ this time. Will be interesting to see if they can play this one out. A bad flank could set them up pretty poorly, and KT's engage is solid, so it's going to come down to CJ's ability to get ahead early and play kite effectively, because they could straight up just get womboed in a team fight by Jarvan and Gnar and lose this game.
Yeah. Kind of like what we saw in game number 1, really. It's Gnar Wombo.
Well, yeah, that one was...
It's a Rek'Sai Gnar Wombo there.
Yeah, and also CJ was less vulnerable to that in the first game. This time, with the Jace, with the Corki, they are going to be really, really quite weak to that. So, got to be careful. KT has the tools they need to deal with this composition. They've got the tools they need to engage, but can they pull it off? And CJ, it's so difficult to play these styles of poke comps because one mistake can cost you the game.
Yeah.
But you could also snowball very efficiently off of them because as long as you kite properly, there isn't a lot of counterplay if you could just chunk people off the turrets and take their objectives.
Well, we'll see which team has what it takes. Will KT get their first win of the season, or will CJ stay on top? Let's get in the game and find out. Apparently, Watch's copyright on staring into the camera has run out, and now Shy is trying it out.
He's infringing.
Yep. Faker still has a copyright on all close-up shots of hands.
I wonder when that one will run out, too.
Right.
Apparently, he doesn't have a copyright for standing up menacingly on chairs, if I'm to believe the LPL team intros, though. Wow, Jace is twerking in the mid lane.
Working as intended. No bug.
Twerk it, Jace.
That's right.
I didn't know you could make Jace twerk. That brightens my day, Noah.
You know, I mean, he's a man of means. He's got the future tech. You know, he's in tune with what the kids are hip with these days. So there you go. Why not twerk it? Oh yeah.
I like how Coco turns around to show off his twerking intentionally.
He knows what he's doing.
He knows. He knows exactly what he's doing.
He knows what the ladies like. They don't like jumping. They like twerking. Come on, Coco. Give us a little. Coco? Sugar? Twerking?
I don't know what to call that, actually.
Yeah.
Well, no lane swap again this time. We will see top laner starting in top. Jungler starting on top as well, so easy leashes and not much going on right now. Coco is hammer dancing in
His
the
legs
meantime.
look so weird on that skin. Really do.
And yeah, and there
Hey.
we go. You picked the
It's OG
right
and Manny.
night to
Oh,
wear
she
that
loves- Hey.
skin.
At least I got OG and Manny.
That's right. It's like Hachani. Shout out to our cosplayer here tonight. Morgana skin.
That's right. Doesn't that make you feel good?
I mean, I guess, sort of.
Not as much as Jace twerking, but it's
I mean,
close.
yeah, twerking Jace makes me laugh more, but I appreciate the cosplay homage.
Oh, I love it.
Interestingly, we,
Interestingly, what, Monte Cristo? You can't just start that and leave us hanging.
I am leaving
What's,
you hanging.
what's interesting? I gotta know.
We're ending up with the same 80 carries as we did last game, except in that reverse matchup. So Space putting down the hurt early, though, with that phosphorus bomb. And
Forget that. Let's look at stats for the top lane.
yeah, let's look at that. So Someday and Shy on that Rumble, of course. Someday not having the greatest luck so far with the Gnar, but he did actually manage to win with it in the first game, so we'll see if he can set up another big ult. He definitely had the massive play that won his team the game
Yep.
in the last one. Shy just putting down some pressure early with that Flame Spitter, trying to keep this Mega Gnar off the wave, and will be mildly successful. Coco standing back and CSing, just CS first lane right here.
Pretty much.
See when Jace goes back to get his tier and how fast he's going to stack that up. Mad Life and Ambition going in and
I grabbed the blue.
getting the blue for Ambition, and we'll see
Yep.
what they're going to do right now. Looks like they focusing on some roaming now that they pushed up.
Arrow's taking a lot of damage on that bot lane. And so there's a chance that CJ can get something done here. They get some wards in anyway.
Yeah, trying to see if anything was going on that side, maybe
Yeah.
orchestrate some sort of damage onto score, but not going to find anything ultimately. They try and catch Mad Life as he goes back into lane. Score there, waiting in the brush to see if he could follow up on a landed Dark Binding. Not going to have that opportunity. And Score still waiting. They're going to go in on this. Johnny motioning up to that side. There is a brand new trinket ward up there, though, so it will be about 45 seconds before that one goes down.
Yeah. Well, can Space make the plays we saw him make on Tristana on a champion that's Tristana? Oh boy. Mad Life has a flash out of that one. Space flashes as well, and Space still may be in trouble. Exhaust going down. Is it enough to save him? Looks like it is.
Yeah, actually, Mad Life
used.
barely missed the bubble right there, too. Score managed to get his flag and drag off just before the skill shot hit.
Yeah,
So couldn't quite slow him down,
that does happen.
and therefore they have to burn 4 summoners in order to get out of that one. That will set them up for another possible gank later, or at the very least some good pressure coming in from Tristana. And that was a really needed break for KT. They had to find a way to get back into this game after being bullied early and falling down in terms of CS, and now they have free reign over the bottom side. So that was, in spite of no kill occurring, Score just doing a lot of work with that gank.
Yep. Oh, here we go. Gank on the top lane. Someday trying to flash out of it. Oh, wow. Coco sneaks in for the sniper kill, and there it is. First blood going to Coco.
And looks like CJ just going to answer that on the other side, getting the flash out of Someday and securing the kill as well. Dogne trying to push this up and punish Coco a little bit for what happened up at the top side. Chani waiting there, but Coco's just recalled, picked up his tier, picked up his pickaxe, and Someday will have to use his teleport early to get back to turret. Shy waiting in the top side right now. What is he doing? Okay, now he's heading out.
All right.
And he'll have the luxury of just walking into that lane and not burning his TP. So TP advantage to CJ right as Shy about to hit 6. This could culminate in a big play.
Man, the CS lead that Space have been able to gain over Arrow is pretty insane.
Well, he caught that wave under the turret. Now Arrow trying to do a little bit more work by freezing, but he has skilled into that explosive shot, which does make it difficult. But yeah, that was the result of that early zoning and the early pressure that Space and Madlife put on. It was punished by score and resulted in them losing all their summoners, but even so, the CS lead remains. Madlife actively clearing wards alongside Ambition in the river. Now they're moving back towards the bottom side, clearing out the Rift Scuttler.
Well, Madlife rather, has really been very active on the map this game. He's been all over the place with Ambition, putting down wards, keeping vision up. That said, still a couple good wards near Dragon for KT though.
Yeah, KT can't help but push up either, so now they're resorting to doing the Krugs while Space just sort of freezes next to his tower.
Forced to do Krugs. What a horrible situation that Arrow and Nichani have been put into.
It's pretty bad.
Yep.
It's pretty bad. And now, even actually sacrificing a couple CS right there as Arrow gets back into the lane a little bit late, so see if it was worth it or not. Space slowly chipping away at this minion wave.
Well, Space seems to be going towards the Phage first. What do you think about that? I suppose he wants a little bit extra mobility with the summoners down? Or?
Yeah, I think that he wants the tankiness and the mobility with the summoners down. Pretty risky to go for a Sheen. Does make you quite squishy, but that said, Arrow eating the better part of a Gatling gun right there.
No kidding. Space and Madlife just not afraid to go in. Summoners or no.
Again, bit of a rough situation for KT early on in this game, falling behind in terms of that laning presence. And I mean, here's the thing, is that Space managed to get that first blood onto Corki in the last game, or when he was playing Tristana. Now he's really bullying out this Tristana in the reverse matchup.
Yeah.
So not looking too good. Space just kind of dominating Arrow tonight in the laning phase. Arrow now hitting 6, but he's pretty far down. Ambition looking like they want to go for a dragon. They have control. Nagne is recalling. Arrow is recalling. Free dragon.
For it. Yeah. Well, CJ has been setting this one up for a few minutes now, too, and it is certainly paying off.
I'm really impressed with how CJ's played this lane, considering that gank from Score was highly effective earlier, but they answered on the opposite side of the map. Got Coco that kill. Now he's going to return into that mid lane with his Manamune. Shy just popping the ult for a little bit of wave clear right now, so he has some freedom for recalling. Doesn't want to have to use his teleport if he doesn't have to. Short cooldown anyway for that equalizer, so that'll get him the time he needs, more than likely.
With Dragon not being up for a little while, there's no reason to keep it for the immediate future.
Oh, actually sticking around now. Meganar transformation, so he's still a little bit worried about that wave, but again, ahead in CS. I mean, CJ up in CS in all 3 lanes at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of makes you wonder about that first game, doesn't it? You know, that maybe other teams can look at this and say, all right, well, CJ,
well,
you know, if they get the teams they want, great, but they do have this vulnerability sometimes in picking bans, perhaps?
Perhaps, but the other thing is, like as I was talking about the first
Aqua Prison on the score, and he gets blown up by Ambition and Coco.
Coco finishing, or Ambition finishing him off right there with the Dragon's Rage. And here's the thing, is that it was a pretty optimal situation for KT at the start of game 1. They had an advantage from picks and bans. Then they got the exact lanes they needed. And they still nearly lost that game to a comeback. So you can't expect to get...
Oh boy, Johnny, you have face checked. One bush too many. There's a flash.
Yeah, miss on the Q right there, so he can't follow up on the flash, even though he did use the Chilling Smite, so no kill. Ambition missing a couple of shockwaves this game, or in this series so far, that probably should have hit, but...
He's never been really stellar at hitting those skill shots since he's moved into the jungle, but it seems like he's improved, you know, over the last few weeks.
Yeah, he's definitely getting better, and his instincts are right. He's in the right place at the right time, and he obviously is doing pretty darn well in the jungle overall, and makes you wonder how good he's going to be once he fully gets those mechanics down.
Yeah.
Space continuing just to farm forward on these waves. Score Nagne passing through. A Ward trying to clear it out with a pink.
Yep,
This is
and they do.
pretty bad situation for KT, though. They've got a massive CS deficit versus Space, who's going to hit that Trinity Force power spike, and Arrow, I don't think is going to have much in order to deal with this. He went for the pickaxe, and I think he's going to try and go into Shiv like Space did last game, but I just don't think that's going to work out for him. He's going to be so far delayed compared to Space's advantage off of that first blood and keeping up in CS that I imagine this Jace Corki combo is going to group and just absolutely wreck all of KT's towers at this point unless they come up with a very creative flanking move. Space again able to get this tower down early on into this game.
Yep. Takes it out with 1 minute remaining. Not bad, and that's CJ's first turret of the game. Excuse me. So, yeah, I mean, what else do you really say? CJ just winning across all lanes right now. Playing everything really safe. KT, I mean, they've got a team that can be good late game. They've got a team that can potentially get picks, but CJ's just not really giving them any opportunities for that.
Well, if you look at the way CJ played this out, too, it was so good. So they lose all their summoners in the bottom side. Okay, well, that's pretty rough. You open yourself up to counterplay in that case, perhaps a repeated gank. But instead, what they do is they bounce the wave, play Space back against the turret.
Oh boy.
Nope.
Really? Da-da, 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 da-da.
Someday coming
Sunday's
around.
here. He's almost got Meganar as well.
Oh, Foxfire.
4v5 or
You certainly.
4v3 dive.
Oh.
Oh, really?
Okay, no, just getting some damage down so they can't beat Dove, I think.
Just cast the rest of the game going, oh.
Meanwhile, Space is punishing Arrow further in the bottom lane.
Oh,
and
so's Coco.
yeah, there's they delayed any kind of recalls there with that ult as well. That was actually turned out to be a very good Rumble ult indeed.
Yeah.
And they get a lot of more pressure down on the map as a result. But as I was saying, so CJ plays Space back, and then Mad Life and Ambition stay on the bottom side of the map, continually get deep wards in, and eliminate any possibility of Score actually making a play on the bottom side.
Oh,
The
nice
instant
shock blast.
reaction is to go kill Someday alongside Coco, so great roam. And then after Corki gets back to base, and then he and Mad Life come back in, wards go down immediately. They protect him while his summoner spells are down. No follow-up, no counterplay from KT, and CJ just playing the pressure beautifully. You really have to hand it to them. They are looking like a extremely strong team.
Yeah. Now, Coco doesn't really have a lot of mana right now, so I would assume we're going to see a recall like now. If he wants to, yeah, there we go. If he wants to have any relevance for this next dragon. And he is, so no worries there. So CJ again set up for what could be a fairly easy dragon. Especially with Score getting really low on this blue buff, 30 seconds before dragon. That seems a bit risky.
Well, 14-minute Trinity Force as well.
Yeah.
And Brutalizer and cooldown boots done for Coco, so they're in a perfect place to punish this.
Shy can probably recall and finish his Zonias and be ready to teleport in too if they need him.
I mean, Arrow has Pickaxe Avarice Blade. This is, I mean, if KT gets this dragon, it's almost inexcusable. CJ should be able to lock this up all too easily. They have the Rumble, and KT can try and make a play on the top side. This is pretty much the only thing they can do, actually. Flash from Shy, but now they know Hachani's up top. This is absolutely uncontested drag if they go for it. Ambition still getting some wards down, looks like.
Yeah, CJ not quite ready to go for that dragon yet.
Well, I'm
And
really
I-
surprised.
I think it's really poignant to note that Shy uses Flash rather than burn the Equalizer. I think it shows they're really going to be right for this dragon. Wow, Arrow taking so much damage. I mean,
Continue to get some damage down onto this tower right here. I'm not sure if
think
they're going
they-
to be able to get it.
I think CJ feels right now like they know they can get that dragon at any time, but getting this pressure onto the turrets is, you know, really lasting damage. And so they'll take that bottom turret, and now they can just go and help finish off the dragon.
Yeah, I agree with you, Doa. I think that I agree. I agree with everything you said. I think that they didn't want to go for that dragon immediately because they already had an advantage in that lane. And the 5v5 was something that they were likely going to win anyway.
Right.
So just go ahead and put down that pressure and provide maximum punishment. And that's kind of what we're seeing now. They're grouping. This is a massive power spike for CJ.
Yeah.
Nagne can't do anything. He's dead.
Nagne is so dead. Well, he's Space.
Oh, he lived.
Wow.
Okay, but he had to ult and flash.
Yeah, he had to run away. Man, hard to imagine KT winning this one, isn't it?
Yes, indeed it is. Wow, what do you do?
Yeah, that's the thing. Because I mean, your
What do
opponents
you-
are controlling the map so well. They've got so much pressure on that you just don't have the time to set up picks, which is really the only thing you can do. But if you set up a pick, you're going to lose a turret or something elsewhere on the map.
Yeah. CJ is playing, I mean, after that first game, CJ is playing the most punishing 2 games that we've seen so far this season.
Yeah.
I mean, this is ridiculous snowballing that we've seen in both of these matches.
Yeah.
And if CJ keeps it up and has as clean a win as last time, this is a statement match for CJ as they.
After seeing the recent games too, when you compare CJ Entis versus a GE Tigers, I feel like I really need to put CJ on top now.
I would too, because
little bit.
they've had cleaner plays. I think
Yeah.
that they've dropped more games, but they've also had considerably harder opponents.
Yeah, I agree.
And KT, though, I mean, at least they got a win tonight, their first game win of the season, but it's looking pretty grim. They're going to have to make a ridiculous comeback in this game at this stage.
Well, Chani and Someday and now Score all comfortably in a ward. Oh, Arrow's there too.
Space.
Everyone
Cool
but
as a
Nagne.
cucumber.
Yep.
Nagne's, they're backing him up, though, so it's still 5 members on the top
Oh,
side.
wow.
Oh,
See,
my.
they're trying to set him a pick, and
It's all they
they're
can
just
do.
losing the mid lane. Yeah, it really is all they can do. You can't really fault them for it, but CJ's going to totally take advantage of this. And, oh, there we go.
That's great. Just keep him there for the maximum amount of time possible.
Space just torturing the opponents now, making them think they have a chance.
Space torture is the worst kind of torture.
You know, there was a StarCraft player for a while back in the early days of SC2 called Hope Torture, because he thought his play was like torturing his opponent with hope. Like he would make the game close enough so they thought they had a chance, but when they really never did.
I love it.
Yep, he actually was not that good though to have a name like that. But his name was Hope Torture for a while. Yeah,
The concept, the philosophical concept behind it, I love.
that's right. Yep. I feel like that's what we're seeing right now from CJ, some good old-fashioned hope torture. Brutal. Brutal
is
from
brutal.
CJ. Yeah.
The question is CJ better at the hope torture than hope torture was?
I think so right now, yeah. Yep. Hope torture. I think he made 1 finals, but other than that, it was more like mediocre torture. More like hope irritation. Yeah.
Wow, well, massive lead opening up. I mean, if you think about this game, over 6,000 gold, but only a 2-kill advantage. I mean, right now, KT is on the cusp of getting perfect gamed.
Yeah, they really
They
are,
don't
aren't
have a
they?
turret. They don't have a dragon. They don't have a baron.
They don't even have any. Oh, Mad Life. Don't ruin the perfect game, Mad Life. No. There's a tidal wave. They turn around, Score, take a lot of damage. Someday right there as well. Johnny, Space needs to be careful here, but there we go. Valkyrie away. Coco there to try to bring it up. And Space and Mad Life doing their best to make this not a perfect game. But they managed to barely hold on to it.
Wow, so close call right there. And
Yeah.
now KT going to push up the mid wave. Can they actually get a tower right here? Coco moving in. Looks like he will be able to protect it well enough with a shock blast onto Nagne in the minion wave. Nagne standing a little bit close to those caster minions.
KT doesn't even have any like fake Azir turrets to make them feel better this time around too. Yep.
So not able to get any work done up there so far. Someday.
Oh, Nagne, look at that. Wow. Is that ambition? Or did Ring Troll just come back from like 3 years ago and make an awesome play?
Yeah, seriously. Great Lee Sin mechanics to finish that one off. Nagne
Jeez.
punished with his ult up.
No kidding.
Didn't even have time to get away from the crowd control. Shy 1v3.
Shy, no. Zonia's quick. The rest of CJ, you must get there. Save the perfect game. Flashing over the wall into the Krug pit. Arrow comes back, and there it goes. Oh, Shy, you're not getting MVP now.
I think a little reckless there in the red side jungle of KT Rolster. And
bit.
too bad. We could have had our first perfect game of the preseason patch. Helios is
Yeah.
really interested in how things are going.
He's like, hey, man, that was a pretty good Lee Sin play. It's like, I remember when I was playing Lee Sin on that team. Or on a different CJ team anyway. With ambition, though.
and later with Coco.
That's
so
true.
He was on both Blaze and Frost.
Maybe Helios sees that and he's like, I trained them well.
You know what's so interesting about this CJ team is it is Frost with ambition in the jungle, and who the hell thought that this was going to work?
Not me.
I mean, no, nobody did. Nobody thought this was going to work.
No.
Briefly, remember in Champion Spring, there was this ray of hope for Frost when they had Swift and otherwise this exact same roster, right? Where they actually managed to win NLD and effectively take 5th, and they beat SK Telecom, in that series, or in the semifinals of NLB, and it's like, is this Frost back on the rise? And then after that, they really didn't have an impressive showing, and with all of the talent departing the CJ organization to go to China, Swift also in China in the LSPL now.
Yeah.
Who would have thought that this would actually work? And
I feel like
but I feel like this is a joke still, because I remember Frost and I was like, wow, Frost, you're playing really well. You beat SK Telecom K. You made it to NLB finals. You beat Sword. You got to NLB. Is summer going to be good for you? And the answer was no. They just kind of fell on their face again. So
that's why it's so hard to believe.
I know it is very hard to believe, but they are looking so strong, Doa.
See, they're torturing their fans with hope too. CJ Hope torture. We'll just call them that from now on. Whoa, Nagne getting knocked around like a
dodge on
ping
the
pong
charm
ball, but
too from
yeah.
space,
Whoop.
and there's the finisher from Coco.
Jeez. They're going to make a Korean sniper movie, and it's just going to be about Coco's Jace play at some point.
I would watch that movie.
Me too. That sounds awesome.
Korean sniper with Jace plays.
That's right.
That sounds great.
They're still going to have Bradley
Somebody-
Cooper play Coco, though.
somebody-
It's kind of weird, but you know how Hollywood is these days.
I do. Just stealing things and then putting Caucasian people in them.
That's right. Ghost in the Shell at him. Anyway. Oh, Equalizer comes down, and Nagne, the tidal wave. Whoa! That was a lot of knockups, and Someday has not been a factor in this game at all. CJ basically just running rampant on the entire team of
Well,
KT Roll.
Hard to win when all of your lanes are losing.
Yeah.
But you have to give credit to CJ's early game. Their adaptation around that gank from Score, which was a good gank, was very well planned and coordinated by the rest of this team.
Oh boy, they nearly took an arrow right there. Zonius from Shy gives CJ time enough to take down that turret. Score backs off as well, and there goes inhibitor number 1. There it is.
Wow. I mean, the delay on the build to Arrow so late. But a reminder, at this point in the last game, at about 22 minutes, or it's actually later, it's 24 minutes, but in 22 minutes, 22 and a half minutes-ish in the last game, Tristana had, I'll get back to it in a minute as we just watch this replay. I mean, this is just a great tower dive. With the damage that they've got, Ambition kicks him into the wall, and they're able to just jump on him and finish him off. Nothing too remarkable.
Yeah.
But at the 22 and a half minute in the last game, Space on Tristana had Infinity Edge, Static Shiv, and Berserker Greaves, and a Vamp Scepter. He had all of that. 24 minutes into this game, we've got a Static Shiv, and nowhere near completing that Infinity Edge. So you can really see the difference in gold between these two players in the reverse matchup, and Space just absolutely dominating Arrow.
Yeah, there's not really any more to say about it.
And Space
CJ.
again, going for the safe build. When you're this far ahead, it's fine to go to Bloodthirster, you know. You don't need that extra punch in the mid game.
Yeah.
You might as well just play the safest build possible. Get that shield up so there's no possibility of some accidental
Ambition.
comeback. Ambition.
Oh, they got the flash from Machani. I thought that was going to be a kill for Space for sure.
Oh,
never
Coco! Flash,
Wow.
acceleration gate, shock blast for the style points.
Jeez.
Korean Sniper is real, Doa.
No kidding, yeah.
Man, that was a great style kill.
Seriously. I love what Jace can do.
That's like one of those plays where you look really dumb if you mess it up, but look amazing if you do it right.
That's right. Yeah, people like Coco, they don't often miss those plays. They just look amazing. Wow, Nagne loses a ton of his health right there, and ZJ just marching into the enemy base. They're going to take out this inhibitor turret. And then another inhibitor, and I don't see a whole lot stopping CJ from ending this game fairly soon, although the bizarre thing is that it's only 25 minutes into the game. This would be one of the earliest wins we've seen if CJ is able to push this one through in the next few minutes.
Well, these last 2 wins have been absolutely
geez.
crushing from CJ.
Yeah.
Look at how measured they are, too. They pulled back, re-engaged. Bad Life is going to die, but...
No, he's not.
Oh, he lived.
He did.
Wow.
He's alive.
Not even
Whoa.
summoner heal used right there. But CJ does have to be careful. Yes, they have a massive gold lead, but again, their composition is very fragile. So I like how cautious they're playing it all the same, even with this big lead.
Well, yeah, 2 inhibitors down. They can back off. They can prepare for this 4th dragon, it would be for them. And then they can pretty much just leisurely walk into the base and win whenever.
Boy, 4th dragon at 27, 28 minutes. That is a pretty one-sided game of League of Legends, if I do say so, Doa.
2 in a row, man. Like I said after game 1, I'm like, CJ just looks angry. Like, we shouldn't have lost that game. And you're right, CJ, you shouldn't have lost that game. Should have been better prepared. Oh, Coco. Exhaust goes down on him, but he doesn't care. He's going to force a flash from Arrow. Wow. Didn't even burn his barrier there.
Yeah, missed his shock blast, but didn't actually matter. He's so far ahead, he still pushed back the AD carry.
He hit the one that counted a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
That was the shock
style
blast
one
that really mattered, yeah. IMO.
So 30 seconds till a dragon. CJ closing this out right, letting their super minions do the work while threatening in the bottom lane.
Why don't they have a Pentakill Jace where he just has a big guitar that transforms and stuff, you know? Then it can be like Rock Blast.
Oh, wow. Just shoots
Yeah.
musical notes out at you.
Exactly. Forget that Sona champion. Well, I think Jace, I would see him much more with a guitar that transforms, you know?
He's that guy.
I think he is that guy.
I don't know. I like the rock. Oh, man.
Oh, nice
4-man ult.
cataclysm. Tidal Wave comes through, though, for a good disengage. CJ can wait this one out. Someday, delayed before he can come in and get a decent ult, and now everyone drops down on top of him. And just all the damage from CJ coming in. It's not going to be enough. Look at that. Flashes for the kills from a lot of members of CJ. Johnny, there's another one from downtown.
Wow. Just looking
Oh,
at that
man.
engage right there. KT did everything right. That was
a
the
good
engage
engage.
they needed.
Yeah.
4-man. They were trying to get the Gnar ult off, but Mad Life comes up big with a bubble,
Oh, yeah.
saves his team right there, and that's
Goodbye,
going
score.
to be the end of this one score. Living
alive.
for the moment.
Oh, Ambition's just having fun now. There we go. Nothing fun about this for KT, though. The game is over, and CJ takes the match 2-1. GG, 28 minutes. That was easily one of the fastest games we've seen this season, if not the fastest.
Well, those last 2 games were such incredibly dominating performances from CJ, looking so clean as they
Oh,
snowballed out. And at this point, I mean, I feel like their only real challenge left is the GE Tigers. Who else do they take out? I mean,
I
Jin Air
agree.
maybe, but their schedule's getting softer, and CJ looking like they may be able to go undefeated through the first round of the round robin.
Really, the,
now that most of the hard teams are kind of out of the way.
Very much the Legend Slayers so far this
Jeez.
season. And as I'm feeling a little bit under the weather tonight, I appreciate the quick finish in game number 3. Thank you, CJ.
Oh, you're a
You're
trooper.
the best.
You're a trooper, Doa. He has the flu today, guys, so.
It's fine. Trust me, these games are much more exciting than I was able to show tonight.
Very interesting games. As Coach Sun gives Mad Life a high five at the
Mad
booth.
Life looked kind of scared of that high five. Wow. He's like, no, this is a hand I use my mouse with.
How dare you touch the hand of God?
I wouldn't be surprised if he would have done that, and then he just like crumbles to ash right in front of Mad Life. The rest of CJ just kind of like looks, and they're like, yep.
Well, rough match for KT. They take the first game, but after that get absolutely blown out.
Wow. CJ Entis. Even though they've done this 3 matches in a row now, I still can't bring myself to believe that they're legit. I
know.
can't.
We've been burned too many times.
I
Doa.
know. CJ will literally have to win Champion Spring for me to believe that they're good. And even then, it's going to be tough.
It is going to be tough, but they're
Yeah.
well on their way.
They are.
Another notch on their belt as they take out KT and tie the GE Tigers for first place, undefeated at 3-0 in our standings, and KT now tied for last place, 0-3.
I kind of want to see a gif of like Mad Life being afraid of that high five. That was kind of funny. Maybe he's mortal after all. Man, if he that scared him, imagine what like the kiss Ambition received to do poor Mad Life.
Yeah.
Mad Life is like a finely tuned race car, you know? he performs really well, but you just got to be careful because like the least little thing causes it to all fall apart. You can't bump it too hard.
You can't bump it too hard.
That's right.
You got to keep tweaking it.
That's right.
As
or
much as you can.
Twerking it in the case of Jace, apparently, we know now. Yeah,
That was too funny.
that's right.
Well, we do have an MVP interview coming up, of course.
We do. But first, the MVP for Game 3 is going to be Coco again. Double MVP, so I guess we're going to have a shorter interview.
And 91% on 10
Jeez.
kills. Coming up with that big
So
kill in
good.
the top lane as we take a look at some of these highlights.
He's going to tie himself up with Duke in terms of the most MVP points so far, but again, a long season to go yet.
All right, look
But
at this.
Here we go. He's like, I'll show people I can steal kills.
Totally unnecessary, but Coco
So-
will grab that one anyway. And then I can't wait to see the style kill again.
Oh, yeah.
So Coco coming back, and
Oh,
he's going to get Hachani under the turret. Hachani tries to get that dark binding off. Maybe a bit ill-advised against a Jace.
yeah, I would not suggest it being at no health remaining.
And here we go.
Flash. You can
Ready
flash
for the
a
style
rocket.
kill? Oh, yeah.
So good.
Blind shot
Jeez.
around the side.
Yeah, he did not have vision
Nope.
of Hachani at that point. Keep that in mind. We knew where Hachani was, but Coco just guessed. That was
And-
literally a shot in the dark.
Here we go on the last fight. By the way, that bubble from Mad Life was so clutch.
Oh,
that
yeah.
could have gone wrong very fast, even with CJ's lead, because the setup from KT was beautiful. But Mad Life gets the crucial play, and the rest of CJ able to capitalize and finish this game up for Hachani. Just a shock blast magnet this game.
Yep. It's tough. That the girl who cosplayed is that Morgana Sims better. She better watch her back on the way out. Stay away from Coco.
Gotta watch yourself on the way out of the studio.
Oh, she's upset. It's okay. It is kind of rough when your cosplay namesake gets dominated so hard. But here we go, MVP interview time, and Barry will bring us translations.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Dawn and Doa. We're going to go into MVP interview with our one true Korean sniper, Coco. Won MVP both games, first on LeBlanc, then on Jace.
앞으로 또 좋은 모습 보여주실 우리 또 CJ 또 코코 선수가 혼자 MVP 받으셨거든요. 여러분.
So let's meet our sole MVP, Coco.
오늘 혼자 MVP 쓰러 가셨습니다.
So you got MVP in both games. How do you feel about that? I didn't even imagine that I would get MVP both games. And this is the first time in the season I got MVP, and I'm really happy.
수하면 이제 르블랑으로 통할 것 같습니다. 1, 2경기 때 좋은 모습 보여주시면서
Now, when people say Coco, they might think LeBlanc after that dominating performance.
선수들은 르블랑을 필벤할 것 같은데 아직
So it may seem that other teams might, they have to ban it against CJ. So how do you guys feel about that? I think, I'm not that disappointed about that. I think that'll just help us out in banning picks, and it'll just work out for us in the end.
챔피언들을 다 풀어주셨습니다.
In game one, you guys let KT have all the new OP champions. Is there a reason why you let them have all of it? When we thought about picks and bans at home, we didn't think that the other team, KT roster had that much carry potential. So even if we gave them all those champions, they wouldn't really, be able to win. But it looks like they were able to. So in game one, yeah, we didn't have a great game. We were like at a disadvantage the whole time. And our teammates, like the other teammates were all like, yeah, we can do this. Let's keep going. And, it was a close game.
해보시는 거 어떠셨나요? 아마 KT 선수분들이 많이 좀 멘붕 상태였던 것 같은데
So, in game three, a lot of the KT fans look, not very happy about that kind of dominating performance from you guys. So what's your response to that? I think just the games, like, once we hit our stride and we got rolling, it just went very well.
그때 좀 팀원들 반응이 어땠나요?
So when you got all those nice snipes in game three, is there any, did your teammates say anything? Well, I heard someone say nice, but that was about it.
연습하시면서 좀 분위기가 어떤가요?
So you guys are on a roll. When you're practicing, what's the atmosphere in the team house? Everyone's doing well. and you know, like even though I got MVP, it's because everyone did well together, and I just happened to stand out. You guys are playing GE Tigers next. You know, do you have something to say about that? No, if we beat GE Tigers, if we beat GE Tigers, we're gonna have like a really dominating season, and I really hope that we can finish strong. Do you have anything to say to your fans? And you know, thank you to all the fans for coming out and cheering for us again. And you know, next time we'll put up a strong performance and make you guys happy.
All right. Well, there we go. Short but sweet. Coco telling us what's up after getting the double MVP today in their win over KT Rolster. And another shockingly, maybe suspiciously good match by CJ Entis.
Yeah, nearly turning it back around.
Yeah.
After that first game, or in that first game, and then completing a pretty dominating pair of wins afterwards.
Yeah. CJ just, honestly, they keep looking better. Even with that misstep in game number 1, they came out of it looking like one of the strongest teams in Korea, no doubt.
I'm actually really impressed they almost managed to win game 1,
Yeah,
given the circumstances, and showed their resiliency. And here are our standings. CJ.
Yeah, now the GE Tigers have gotten all 2-0s, I believe. So
They had 1-2-1.
did they? Oh, okay.
Against
all right.
Jin Air, yes.
That's right. So they still maintain a little bit of a point spread, but what matters most is the match score, and so 3-0 tie for GE Tigers and CJ Entis.
Impressive start, but again, CJ Entis has had by far the harder schedule.
Yeah.
Remember that those GE Tigers wins came against Samsung, IM, and Jin Air. So
Friday, Incredible Miracle versus SK Telecom T1, and if SKT can get 2-0'd by CJ, maybe this is IM's chance to start a brand new lease on life. I don't know. We'll see. And then Jin Air versus Najin. I got a feeling SKT is going to win that one easily in the first match. But the second one, I'm really curious about.
yeah, harder to call.
Yeah.
Jin Air and Najin have looked. I mean, Jin Air actually gave the GE Tigers a surprising run for their money, and
They
Najin,
did.
of course, still remaining a top team, and that is going to be fun. The battle of the teams at the top of the rankings.
That's gonna be awesome.
Somebody's leaving with first place.
Well, you know, going into this season, we thought that battle of the top teams would be nothing but Najin versus SKT, but now, yeah, CJ versus the GE Tigers, it's a legit contest, and that's going to be great.
As we've learned, Doa, in our 7th season of casting, it is ridiculously difficult to predict this league. I mean,
Yeah.
we've had so many seasons of champions where coming into the playoffs, the 3rd-seeded team from a group will win.
Yep.
Back when we had 12 teams and 4 teams from each group going into the playoffs, or the 2nd-seeded team. So teams really get on hot streaks here, and we'll see if CJ can carry that momentum or whether we'll have somebody rise at the end of the season. We've got a long, long way to go.
Very true. Never a dull moment here at the Yongsan Seoul Esports Stadium. From here, I'm Doa, that's Monte Cristo. Thanks for watching, guys. Join us again on Friday for our next day of Champion Spring. We'll see you then.